What's up, everyone? Welcome. The last evening edition of the Normal America Show until, I don't know, Sunday, maybe? Your host, robnoerr. Happy to be here with you all this fine evening. Gotta admit, today was a better day. It's probably the best day I've had this week. Just been a real slog of just, yeah, it is. You get some slightly bad news, and then some slightly bad news, and slightly bad news. Then all of a sudden, little things seem like a big deal. Ah, crap, my mower screwed up, It's always like that, isn't it? Like you can prepare for the big stuff, but it's when the big stuff happens and then something little just is like, pfft. And I got up today just thinking like, what's so upsetting here? You say this cliche stuff. I'll say cliche stuff, but then you wonder if you really mean it. Like I'll say, if God takes me today and this was it, and this is the last moment of my life, what do I have to complain about? It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great life. I feel like there's no time in my life that's better than right now. I have a wonderful wife. My parents are both still alive. I have an awesome son. He's 5 years old. He's hilarious. He's fun. I love hanging out with him. And, but then something bad happens and I grouse about it. Ah, shit, my mower. It's like, what happened to that guy that said he would be happy, even if this is the last day of his life? I'm going to sit around pouting about a mower and about some other stuff. I don't know. You got to knock some sense into your own head. Like, what do you got to be upset about? Get your shit together, dude. So I have, and I'm in a great mood. I think it's been a fantastic day. I wish I spent more time with my parents. My parents are amazing. My wife's parents are amazing. I'm very lucky. And just by the nature of geographically where we live, it's not like I'm far away from my parents, but probably close to 35, 40 minutes. Whereas we're about 5 minutes away, 10 minutes from my wife's parents. So we see them more often. But I wish I saw my parents more. It's not like we never see them, but maybe we see them like once every 3 weeks. I'd like to see them more. And we do have a little fun mini vacation coming up later in July with them. But they came out for dinner with my brother, and it was a lot of fun. I always enjoy. My dad's just, in my opinion, like the funniest guy that's ever lived. He's hilarious. My mom's amazing too. So, oh, you have a cat going through kidney failure. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I really am. As I mentioned on this show about 2 years ago, I did lose my dog that was 14 years old. She was really cool. She was a great dog. But I've been lucky with the dog we currently have. She hasn't had many health issues. I think she's 7, but she's doing very well for 7. She's still very active. And so I went out to dinner with my family today. And before that, my wife was going to just doing some stuff. It is if you're like going on vacation and stuff. I guess I don't know if you know how it is. For me, it's just like I say, wife, take care of that. And then she does. It's like magic. All the stuff we need is magically packed up, and I just throw it in the car. So my wife was going to the store to get some stuff, and me and my son went, and our job was to get road snacks and beach toys. So we accomplished that. He went big into the sour candy for the road trip. He got strawberry Sour Patch Kids, Sour Belts, and then some applesauce pouches. He likes that. So it's going to be fun. So I'm leaving Saturday at 6 a.m. Probably, I don't know if I'll be streaming Saturday, but all streams. Tomorrow's going to be an early stream. It's going to be like 3 p.m. or 5 p.m. because I need to get some sleep because I'll be driving like 8 hours tomorrow, Saturday, starting at 6 a.m. So, little early stream Friday. That's all right. We'll have fun. Maybe we'll make it a call-in stream. I should be back to regular streams. I believe we're leaving Saturday to Saturday. So not Sunday this Sunday, but Sunday the following Sunday. Should be back to I'm speaking now and then heading into the regular streams. That's the plan. So hopefully I have some fun stories to tell from my trip. Who knows? But that's the game plan. So Am I going to be singing whip songs in the car? Now, my son's in, I can't remember the name of this woman. It's the Laura something bands. And she sings songs like, "We are the dinosaurs marching, marching." So me and my son were singing that song today. A different, I assure you, when whip songs are done here, they're done. They're not in my head or to the best of my ability or being sung to the kid. Nothing like that. I will. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward. The hardest part, I got some things going on I can't really talk about, but the hardest part's putting the phone down and not worrying about politics and stuff for a week. Because you have it is like a terrible addiction, and it's something that I'm working on. You know how it's like, I used to hear this. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if any of you are smokers that tried to quit. But one of the things, I had friends that were smokers that were trying to quit, and they said the hardest part's just like weird downtime. It's that, like, the motion of just like, you're always like, you'd be reaching for your lips like you would be when you were smoking. I feel like I have a physical habit with my phone that's unhealthy, right? So like, if I'm not actively doing something, it's fun. If I'm actively like having dinner with the family or something, that's fine, and talking. But like, let's say we have a movie on or something, I'm just like watching the movie and be like, I can check my emails or stuff real quick or check X. That's no good. That's no good. I find myself doing it like, what am I doing? I'm watching this movie. What am I doing? What am I doing on the phone here? It's no good. Oh, it's on silent. It's just habit. So with something like this, I try to just like leave my phone. Basically, I tell like my family, like, if you need me, call my wife, and I'm just gonna leave my phone at like the hotel and be like, that's it. I don't even want to see the damn thing. You know. So that's what I try to do. So a lot of times you get back and it's like, I have tried that, throwing the phone out of my second floor attic window, but I'm so rich that I have this super mega high powered phone. So it just, out of my second floor attic. Come to think of it, now I realize why everyone's filing lawsuits and shit against me. They're like, second floor attic office. Damn, this guy's, he's crushing it. Big spender here, yeah, that's sort of the plan. Anyways, I there's like a hodgepodge of topics to talk about tonight. There's nothing like one thing that was super interesting. So I do, as the title of the video suggests, we are going to go through this charging memo and actually, before we start with this, I have an announcement for the channel. So I used to do the extravaganza there with Jake Rattlesnake. And I remember there were a couple of episodes where Jake was having his laughs at Candace Owens. Forget about the crazy theories, the way she pronounces words. And she really struggles. There's a lot of words that Candace Owens, like there's a comedian guy that just does videos just of word after word after word that Candace Owens is butchering. And I don't know if you all that watched that extravaganza when we were doing that, I don't know if you noticed, but I wasn't picking on her that much because I too mispronounce my hey, thank you, Joshy. I appreciate it. I mispronounced the so many words, it's laughable. So there's going to be a word said tonight, probably a dozen times, and I usually read very fluidly, and I have a fast pace of talking, but if you listen closely, you're going to hear me slow down for the word Minneapolis. which I normally say Minneapolis. But no, I'm adding an extra N. And then everyone in the chat's going to be like, yesterday was tortuous, not torturous interference. Yes, I know. Obfuscate. There's another one I screw up. So go ahead, take a shot every time I mispronounce Minneapolis or Minneapolis. I'm going to try. And I just want to say thank you so much to my audience. When they're not tormenting me, making me play dumbass whip songs at the end of the show, they are calling out my many mispronunciations. Yeah, Candace has a lot, yeah. Malfeasance? I don't know. I add syllables here and there. Just say Twin Cities. That place. I have to admit, I love some of the hate I get. It's even better when it's from people I know like me. But even the haters, some of the jokes and stuff. Like, I have to admit, the other day, when I was watching, people were like, oh, hey, Destiny's reviewing this interaction he had. And I came up, and they're just laughing at me because I'm like typing real loud. It's kind of funny. Oh, I accidentally created a marker. I don't know what it... I had to admit, I'm like, it's kind of funny, to be honest. I like that. I like when people are correctly pointing out the dumb stuff I do. It's like, and there's a lot of ammo. That's good stuff. You know? But ex-phobic one day, what the hell did he call me? He said I was being a toddler. I was playing with games on stream. It's like, it's a fair point. It is fair. He's not wrong. That is a fair criticism. So, I mean, it happens. I enjoy it. I don't know. I grew up in the type of situation where you tell someone to, like, go fuck themselves, and then the next day you're like, hey, what's up? You know? There are certain things, obviously, that are over the line. Like, when we were growing up, if people said shit about your mom or something, you'd be like, oh, we're throwing down. You know? But if someone was like, you fat fuck, blah, 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 it was like, it's pretty fair. You'd be like, yeah, fuck you. There's no big deal, you know? I think that's how guys are. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I feel like I grew up, because I'm in this like little rural bubble where everyone's like blue collar. I feel like I grew up in a time capsule that's like 30 years prior to where everyone else was. Like I was in a place where it was like, yeah, sometimes you just threw fists. It was no big deal. You know? Go up to the train tracks after school. You know? A bunch of your buddies would come watch someone kick the piss out of someone, and the next day they'd be like, hey, what's up? It's no big deal. My dad told me even crazier times. He's about 21 years older than me. He went to the same school. I grew up in the same area as him. And he was like, yeah, when we had like shit talking going on, the gym teachers back then would make you, it didn't matter if you wanted to, they'd make you put the boxing gloves on and settle it. And everyone would bet like nickels and quarters on the fight. And the teacher would just sit there and watch you guys knock the piss out of each other. And then, you know, if someone started to get the upper hand too much, he'd intervene, and that was it. He buried the hatchet. And I was like, you know, part of me wonders, you got to be careful. Anytime you throw a fist is one thing. But back then, like I remember the fights that were going on in school. Even if you had someone that knew how to fight, it was never like, no one was ever getting seriously hurt, because you might get a broken nose or a black eye or some shit. But no one was like kicking you while you were down or any of that crazy shit. And by the way, I'm making it sound like it was like some gladiator arena. There was maybe 5 or 6 fights a year, like in the school. It wasn't like crazy like every day. But I sometimes wonder if that wasn't a check on like some of the more psychological shit that happens that ends up with some crazed person, you know, doing a lot of damage at a school with a weapon. Because if you got bullied, you smacked your bully in the mouth, and it was like, all right. And now it's like if you get bullied and you try to fight back, the police get involved, and you're told you're the bad person. And, you know, back then it was just you settled shit. That was that. You know, and I don't know. So when I say things like, I'm sure that's how it was with all you guys, right? You talk shit in your friends. Fuck you. No big deal. But maybe not. Maybe that's not how it is. I always said, like, to me, it was always funny. People will take, like, the word argument like a bad thing. We loved arguing. We still love arguing, me and my friends that I, like, went to school with and I'm still friends with. You'd find the dumbest shit to argue about. Like, who's the best player in basketball to ever wear number 20? And you just fucking drink beers and argue all night. Like, you fucking idiot. You know what the fuck you're talking about? You know? I did grow up in a white area. That is true. We had some black kids there. They were cool, though. You know, I grew up in an area, in the little town I was in, there was one black kid. He was fine. He hung out with us, cool guy. And his nickname, I don't know, this might, if my channel gets banned, I apologize. I swear to you, his nickname was, and it was what he told us to call him, was Coco. That's what he told us to call him. In retro, it didn't seem weird at the time, but I can understand how people be upset. He's cool as shit. It didn't matter. I remember one time me and him got in an argument, and he told me his cousin Jug was coming to beat my ass. So I used to fuck with him. It's like, you know, we'd be playing like basketball or something. I'd be like, look, man, you better get Jug on the horn. I'm about to fuck you up, you know. He was fine. He fit right in with town. He was a cool kid. And I wonder what happened to him, but he was all right. And then we had this lady move into town. So it's a small town. It's just picture, I don't know how many blocks, but basically 2 roads was the town I lived in. Well, 3. You had the main road, and then you had one long road and another long road. My guess is, and then you had alleys that would intersect. And probably 2 to 3 houses in between each alley. My guess was 12 alleys. So you do the math. 24 houses stacked 3. Or 12 houses stacked 3. No, I guess 24. 48, 72 houses maybe. Something like that. Probably not that many. Probably around 60 in the whole neighborhood, right? And there was, down by the post office, there used to be this restaurant. And the restaurant went out of business, and they made it like a rental apartment or some shit there. And this lady moved in. She happened to be a black lady. And it was my first experience with like inner city type culture, I guess you would say. And I have a couple stories. I didn't plan on talking about this tonight. But up until then, there was a black kid that lived in town. It didn't matter. No one gave a shit. And then this lady moved in, and I think she had 7, 8 kids. And the oldest was slightly younger than me. So they, you know, I maybe was 14, 15, and the kids range from like 13 to like a toddler. And the middle, the second from the youngest, I think she had 4 different dads, because he kind of became friends with us. And he was very cool. He was all right. And he would come hang out with us. And the brothers that were old enough to know better, that were like, you know, 11, 14, they're fucking garbage. So we just had like open door policy with all the kids in the house. So a lot of the houses, you'd just be playing in the summer, and you'd walk in the house and you knew the parents. Hey, how's it going? And we'd play a lot of N64 and PlayStation. And what you would do back then is you'd just write your initials, like with permanent marker, on your game. And there was a lot of trading game, particularly with PlayStation. So you'd put it on your little CD, you'd write your initials, and then, you know, maybe I had Final Fantasy VII, but then, you know, I beat that, and my buddy had Metal Gear Solid. So you would, you know, you'd trade the games. Or a lot of the games were like multiplayer. So, you know, GoldenEye, you'd go over to someone's house and you'd be playing GoldenEye or something. There'd be 6 or, you know, 8 of you or something like that, and you'd take turns playing GoldenEye, and you'd form teams, and it was fun. Being a kid back then was awesome, man. And, you know, a bunch of our games came up missing, and our one buddy went over to this house of this lady, and he was like, dude, all your games are at their house. It's got all your initials on it. Like, not just me, but like 2 other people. I was like, no shit. And I'm like 15 at this point. So I I don't want to say mature. I feel like I stopped my maturity level at like 15. So I was early mature there. But, so I waited till this friend of mine was over at their house. And I went over and knocked on the door and was like, hey, how's it going? And the mom answered and she's like, what do you want? And I was like, oh, I think there was a mistake. I think your son borrowed some games from a mutual friend, but I think some of them are mine. So I was just coming to see if I could get them back. And she's like, all right, 1 second. And she went up, and my buddy is in the room where this kid is playing games. And he told me what happened. She came up and was like, do you got this kid's games? And he was like, I don't know, maybe. And she's like, well, if you do, break them. And my buddy was like, he took all my games and just snapped them. And she came down and was like, we don't have your shit. There you go. Wasn't even like they took it to profit. It was just like, I wasn't going to press charges or anything. I even said like, hey, it must have been a mistake. I was just here for my stuff back. There you go. So I was like, So I wasn't the biggest fan of this woman. Then she'd always have different boyfriends around. And I remember one time I was riding my bike. Again, I'm like 15. So I was just dicking around. We had like a little area. We called it the cuts. It was like strip cuts that you'd ride your bike on, like little dirt hills and shit. So I was up dicking around with that. And then I was riding my bike down to my buddy's place. And in the yard of the one like friend we had, there were a bunch of kids like wrestling that I knew. Younger kids, like 11, 12. And I went, and this chick's boyfriend, this black guy, was wrestling with these kids. Okay, no big deal. And the one, so I'm talking to an older kid. It's like my age. The kids that are wrestling him are like 11, 12. And I'm like 15. And everybody's having fun. Who gives a shit, right? And apparently one of these kids must have hurt him in some way. I don't know, what happened. But he just fucking slugged this kid in the gut. Just fucking bam. And the kid's bawling. And the dude like takes his shirt off. And it's like, yeah, anybody fucking want to say anything? A grown-ass man just punched this 12-year-old in the stomach. And I was like, what the fuck? And like started yelling at him. He's like, come on, motherfucker. So I happened to be in the yard of a dude, my uncle, who they called Tiny. Tiny wasn't Tiny. Tiny looked like the dude from Happy Gilmore that gets shot with the nail in the head. He's like 6'7", like 360 pounds, and not really that fat. Like just a fucking unit of a man. So I walked right in the house, was like, there's some fucking like adult down there, like beating the shit out of some kid. And this is the type of guy that's just waiting to like, he should have been born in like medieval times. Just rip someone's limb off and beat him to death. He's like, what? And goes outside, and this dude just ran home, and that was that. That was the end of that. And then another time, another story with this family. I was walking down towards that restaurant I think they re-put it in. It lasted like 6 months. So I was walking down there to pick up a pizza, and it's right on like I don't want to say it is a state route, like a state, like, it's 2 lanes. It's not a super well-used road, but it is kind of a main road. And their apartment was right on it. And I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I look, and this fucking toddler, this little black baby in diapers, is on the fucking yellow line. And a car, like, beeps flying by at like 40, I think the speed limit there's 45 mile an hour. And my heart's like out of my chest. And I run up and I grab this toddler and pick him up and I take him up to the stairs of the apartment. And the woman's on the front porch. It's just a little porch. Maybe it's 4 feet by 4 feet. And she's on there on a chair. And I'll never forget this. She's just like this with the nail file on her nails. She just goes, thanks. And didn't even look up at me. And I was so mad. I was about to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you kidding me? It was a fucking nightmare. This lady was a nightmare. And she had that guy that punched that kid. I'm not lying when I say this. 2 months that he ended up leaving this house in like 2 weeks. She kicked him out or something. 2 months later, there was like wanted signs for him up at the post office. He was like being investigated for like a warrant that he escaped out of Ohio for like assault. And so it was very weird because all of a sudden we're in this little town and now shit's getting stolen. I remember there was the little real estate place that I ended up working with up the road. Everybody you just park there. There's like, 8 people that work there. No one's locking their fucking car. Someone got in and couldn't prove who it was, but someone got in and stole everyone's CDs out of their car and all their change and shit they had in the car. And so now all of a sudden it's like, well, you have to lock your door. And I'll never forget it, man. I'm like 15 years old, 16 maybe at this point, because it's been a little while. And we sat in my friend's backyard that you could see her house for when child services came and took 3 of her kids, and we fucking applauded. We were like, good, fuck you. And that was it. And by the way, the black kid that was in town with us, he felt the same way. He's like, what the fuck? And the kid that was like, that I said was cool, that was hers, that was like a year below, she treated him like dog shit. Like, he wore hand-me-down clothes. All of her brothers had like, we were a type of family. I was the oldest, so my parents would buy me like cheap clothes, and then my brother wore them a year or 2 later. That's the way it went. We didn't have a lot of money. These kids are walking around brand new Nikes, like hoodies and shit that are like name brand shit. Except the second youngest one, and he would tell us all the time, she hated his dad, so she treated him like shit. And, I got to be friends with him. He was a tremendous football player. And I had heard that he went off in like, not a huge school, but I'd heard that he went off to a smaller school and got a small scholarship. So I hope he's doing well. He's absolute just lightning fast and could catch a ball, was receiver. And he was a very nice kid. And you could tell he had a really horrible situation. He was always sad. And we always tried to make sure that we were like including him. His older brother was a piece of shit. Like I said, stealing our shit stuff. But she treated him like dog shit, man. It was the craziest. And he would tell us, he's like, she's never had a job. He's like 13 or 14, never had a job. She just gets a bunch of money because she had like 4 or 5 different dads. It's fucking horrible. It was so weird to see that in the town that I grew up in. And like, there were trash people. I mean, fuck, I was kind of a trash person. But not like that. Like, it was so crazy. Like, we had hoodlums around. Maybe you'd get in a fist fight with or some shit, Or they'd, like, steal a case of beer that you left out on your porch. Some shitty 17-year-old. But we didn't have people breaking in your cars or stealing your video games or shit like that. That wasn't happening. People's dads or boyfriends beating the shit out of 12-year-olds. It didn't happen. And there it was, all of a sudden. Now, since then, that area of the world has gotten a bit, it's drugs, man. Like, it is true, the old quote from Fear and Loathing, right? You could trust a person, but you could never trust a drug. These people that are getting ripped up on, like, fentanyl or, opioids, they'll rob your ass blind. It could be your best friend. They'll rob you blind. Like, I've seen that. It's crazy. But it was a way of life, man. It was a way of life for those folks. And meth's not real big around here. It's mostly opioids. But it was sad. I remember just thinking, like, wow. Now we haven't talked about that Tacoma. Like, we were trashy enough. We didn't need... our trash was good trash. Good enough. We didn't need any more. So it's a weird thing. All right, let's read some super chats. I don't know how I got on that, by the way. But it's weird. But really, if you grew up in my town, you would have seen that it was like, you got both ends of it. The black kid that was there before that was one of us. It didn't matter. No one gave a shit. Like, we're like 12 years old. But he didn't hang out as much as some of the other kids, by the way. But a lot of that was because he was away a lot, and he also lived on the other end of town. And there was a bunch of us that lived like within 2 blocks. So we would always be like messing around on the trampoline, or we'd be playing, like, we used to play this game called Throwback, where you'd get the ball, and if you got tackled, then you had to throw the ball over your head. The next person grabbed it, and you're trying to get a touchdown. Or we'd play kickball, or, shit like that. But he was there here and there, and it was never an issue. It was just like, okay. And then with that guy, it was sort of like you're like, or with that lady, you're like, oh, this isn't good. I don't know. It was depressing, though. It really was to see it. Now it's like that little town. It's one of the things I talk about. Like, for me, that's life. And I don't begrudge it. In fact, but you know what? I don't even know where we're going to go tonight. I'm just rambling. So I talked to a good friend of mine today, and we were talking about tribalism. No, that's not, I don't know if I could say that word, but no, that was a different game. Smear the person of divergent sexual interests, right? For us, we played it different. That was just more like, if you get the ball, people just smack you, right? Throwback was different in that you kept score, so it was a little different. We had other crazy games, too. We had this game called Pipes. Pipes was crazy. So we had these hockey nets that we had that were plastic nets. The frame of them were plastic. And they all came in like little tubes like this that you intersected. But they were hard plastic. And so, I don't know what happened. We got tired of hockey and we disassembled this net. And we came up with this game called Pipes. And Pipes was, you each started off with 2 of these plastic pipes. Let's say there's like 6 of you playing. And you literally just beat the piss out of each other until the other person drops their pipes. And the goal is to collect all the pipes by the end of the game. And it ironically works as a game. And here's what works about it. As you collect more pipes, it's harder to wield them. Because if you're just holding 2, you could, and so you're hitting them like you're trying to hit the knuckles to get them to drop them, basically. Is what you're doing, right? But then once you get like 6 of these, you're like, okay. And then the 3 people that are left that have one are just whacking you, and you're like, trying to fend them off. I would not recommend this game for kids, but that was a game we came up with. It was called Pipes. And then we had another game where it was just called, this one's really bad. This, warning, this is going to be culturally insensitive, this next game. This game didn't really have a lot of rules. It was just our excuse to beat the piss out of someone, basically. And it was called Amish Vengeance. And the game Amish Vengeance was just one of you or 2 of you had left the Amish kingdom and the other people were Amish and would just like smack you around. But we were never super malicious. We weren't like making people bleed or anything, but yeah. So that was Amish Vengeance. And those pipes sometimes would make an appearance there as well. So, yeah, that was the shit we were getting up to. It's a weird thing. You get a bunch of like 11-year-olds together. Like 9, 11-year-old kids. Now it's fucking sad, man. Like I go that same town, there's so many changes. But I don't think kids like play in the yard like that anymore. I don't know that they do. Everybody's playing Minecraft. I sound like a grumpy old man, but it's true. I had some Amish. Yeah, we had Amish. It's very weird. So that town I grew up in, I'd been told that it would come in waves, like the kids, because like you'd get a bunch of a generation would move in there, and then 40 years later they're dying off or they're moving, and so you get another generation of young people that are coming in. So you'd go like everybody had kids together. So you had all of these within 8 years, you had all these people having kids because of the demographics of the people that lived there, the age of them. And then you might have 10, 11 years where there's not many kids in town. So my sister was 20 years younger than me, in the same house, grew up in the same house, 20 years apart from me, almost exactly, and there weren't really many kids her age. That's just the way it was working. It became a very old neighborhood because no one moved out and no one's that wealthy, and there's no reason to move to a town like this. There's not a lot of jobs in the area. So you just had people getting older, and once they were older, their kids were moving elsewhere for economic activities, and that was it. And so the town became older. Now some of those older people are moving to other homes, or they're dying, or they're moving into nursing homes. And so there are houses for sale there. But the economic activities in the area are not good. There's not a lot. So it's less kids, and the kids are more indoors. And There was something about that era, though, where it's like you kind of had to make friends with the kids around because you're limited geographically where you're at. If you had a friend that lived in the county over, you could only go there once in a while when your parents could drive you. It wasn't like an everyday thing. So you just made friends with the kids around you. That was that. And now it's like, I don't think that that's the case. I think it's just online. Hey, I got an online friend. We play Call of Duty. We play Minecraft. You know? But that's the area of the world. I look at that area. That's where I'm from. And I am tribal. I unabashedly. I'm tribal for my family, first and foremost. I'm tribal for Christians. I'm tribal for groups that I'm in. I'm tribal for men. I think there are issues that affect men that it's worth sticking together for. I'm tribal when it comes to white people. But more than that, I'm definitely tribal for the geographic area and for the folks that live that way of life. And a lot of time it's predominantly white people, but it doesn't have to be. You know, and there are people, you know, I bartended in a little town right across from the town that I lived in. Black folks, Hispanic folks, it didn't matter. Everybody's living the same type of life. They're all everybody's friends. And I watched these towns dying, man. So that the town I went to, the big town around where I grew up was Clarion. And that's where I went to university, Clarion University. And the big job in Clarion was a glass bottle plant called Owens, Illinois, OI. And they made beer bottles. And it employed tons of people in the area. And that's like kind of factory work that paid pretty well, man. For the area, it paid well. The cost of living was low. And a job like that, you're probably making $21-22 an hour. That's a life, man. That's supporting a family on one income. You're not rich. You're not driving around in a new car. But you can pay a mortgage. You know, I think when my parents bought their house, they paid $32,000 for it, like maybe back in like 96. And it was doable. Like a job like that was doable. Right across from Owen, Illinois was a place called R&S Vinyl Products. That's where my dad worked. They made windows. And my dad, you know, I don't know how long he'd worked there. Probably 16, 17 years. And they brought in the union. There was a big union vote and it won. And my dad used to talk to me about it. He was like, you know, it's funny. He was not for the union. He was not. Well, once it came in, he was liked at the company, so they made him an officer. And he said, you know, they had all these big promises. And basically what it amounted to was by the time they paid their union dues and everything, everybody's breaking even. And, you know, maybe 3-4 months after the union came in, my dad went into work one Monday and they were like, pack your shit up, you're done Thursday. And that was it. There was probably 90, 100 people that worked there. And it's a small town. That's a significant number of people. See ya. That's just it. Now you find yourself, you're a man that's like, you know, I don't know how old my dad would have been, 45? My dad didn't graduate high school. He was a manual laborer his whole life. What are you going to do? Where are you going to find a job? Everything's closing down. It's not like you have some engineering degree or something to fall back on. My dad ended up becoming a bartender. He was very good at it. He's a very funny guy. So it actually was a weird serendipitous thing. But a lot of those people, they didn't have that opportunity. And then a few years later, the bottle plant across the street, it closed down. And no one gave a shit. No, there's no big cultural movement. It's sort of like when the people that work the strip mines and stuff, when they go out, they're like, good, learn to code. That's what it was like. Those are my fucking people. Those are the greatest people in the world to me. Maybe not to you, that's fine, but to me, that's it. All those fucking people that work their fingers to the bone every fucking day to support families, trying to do the right thing, simple people. And everybody treated them like shit, man. Their opportunities lost. Fuck them. Who cares? And that was sort of the last place in this county that was hanging on. Now the only employer is the university. Which you can imagine how that goes. And guess what? Clarion University changed its name to Penn West. And within 15 years, it's not going to exist. And when it happens, this county's fucked. Because that school, like it or not, is the lifeblood of the area. So you have all these restaurants. Well, you're not going to be able to have as many restaurants as there are once that school's out of business. There's just not going to be enough people. The competition will be too much. And these aren't restaurants like we have an Applebee's, then we got a Mexican place that's in the hotel, and then an Eaton Park of Perkins, then we got this like Roadhouse place that's owned by a local guy that's not, it's sort of modeled after the Texas Roadhouse, but it's not that. And then you got your fast food joints. But that's it. A lot of these restaurants are just like local places. There's 3 breweries. Those started springing up. No one goes to the bar anymore, and the college kids, they all go to breweries. They're not going to be able to survive once that college goes out. Who's going to be going there? And no one gives a fuck. All this talk of, all these groups, Black Lives Matter. Oh, we got to help people over in, Somalia. And what about USAID to Africa? Fuck you. How about that? When towns like the towns I grew up were the backbone of this country, building up the country, they're taken for granted. And now it's like, just shut up and die off, you old bastards. So that was my motivation. That's why I got into politics. That's why I started streaming. Because I see these people, and nothing will change, man. Nothing. There is people that I respect outside of that. There are wealthy people that I respect. There are people that come from other communities. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. I have the most immense respect that you could imagine for the guy that was my debate coach. Other than my dad and my mom and my grandpa, probably the most like mentor type figure I've ever had in my life that influenced me in very positive ways. He's a hardworking son of a bitch, smart. And his family is from a farm. Now, he wasn't quite as like rednecky as my crew, but that's all right. He's a good guy. And the department chair was a dude he was a baseball coach. So again, not like some ivory tower dude. But those 2 guys were more academic. And so this is what I'm talking about to differentiate the two. I had this situation, I've talked about this before. I went to a frat party. I was 20 years old. And I got the fuck beat out of me. Like, horribly. Like, I almost lost my eye. They beat me for about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. I was concussed. I don't remember it. I was drunk, one. But then they beat me so bad that it was pretty bad. And basically the reason for it was I was at this party and I left, and I had a DD that was coming to pick me up, but he was going to drive my car. So I left, and when I got back to the car, my buddy's like, "Where are the keys?" And I left them in my wallet in this party. So I went back in and got them, and when I was walking out, one of the frat brothers was like, called me a nice slur and was like, dudes like this, like why we can't get chicks at these parties. And then, me, I was like, what the fuck did you just say? And he pressed up on me, and then the next thing I know, someone hit me from the side. Not that it would have mattered. This guy was like a Marine, and he probably would have whooped my ass by himself. But they chose not to go that route. And so they hit me for like 2 or 3 minutes. Now, I remember the yelling, but I don't remember the hit. And I only know the full story because a buddy of mine saw it and told me later what happened. And apparently they like knocked me to the ground, and I was down there for like, they hit me for like a minute or two, and I was laying on the ground, and I got up, and I apparently, I'm very proud of this, apparently told the guy he hit like a pussy. And then they beat the fuck out of me. They were taking turns holding me up while I was unconscious, kicking me in the fucking face. I chipped my tooth here. I still had a chipped tooth over it, and got fucked up pretty good. Anyways, it's a big, long story, and I showed up the next day for debate practice. I didn't have insurance or shit, so it's like, you get fucked up like that, put some ice on it, back to work, I show up for debate practice, and my coach is like, you have to go to the hospital. And I was like, fuck it. What are they going to do? Tell me, fucking take it easy for a while. I'll be all right. He ended up reporting it to the school. So I did talk to the school, and I'm like, I ain't no narc. So, they're like, did they give you booze? I was like, no, of course they gave me booze. Are you kidding? It's a fucking frat party. I was like, no, I brought my own. They wouldn't serve me. And he's like, what happened? And I told him the story I just told you. I was like, that's it. And I knew the name of the guy that started it because I had a class with him. And the dude was like, oh, well, just so you know, we're going to have, if this gets filed, we're going to have to give him your home address. And I was like, okay. I don't give a shit. And somehow these dudes like ended up knowing where I'd be. Like they showed up at the debate office when I had hours. I was like, that's weird. And this dude, the president of the frat, he wasn't there that night this happened. And he's just basically like trying to talk nice but intimidate me. And he said something effective like, well, they'll end up they'll know your address, these guys. And at that point my address was, I was living at my parents' place and just commuting to class. And I was like, okay. And they're like, I wouldn't want them to show up to your house or anything. And I was like, well, that would be a huge mistake. And he's like, why? I was like, because my dad's not as nice as me. My family, like my dad's side of the family are legit fucking nuts. Like there's this movie called Next of Kin. Like that's like my family. Like I have 50 something cousins and like 30 of them, if I called and was like, I need you to come with firearms, would be like, okay, no questions asked. Like whatever, that's that. You don't fuck with family. And I remember my dad flipped out on me over it because he's like, this is why you don't fucking drink underage. I was like, okay. And I, that next day I was sleeping it off after I went to the doctor and my cousin wakes me up. I was upstairs in my room. I was like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, hey, where was this frat house? And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. And I walked outside with him. I'm just like, grabbed a soda. I'm just shooting the shit. And I look and there's my cousin with his pickup and 3 of my other cousins in the truck, just fucking armed to the teeth. And they're going to that frat and they're going to take care of it. I was like, no, fuck it. I'm not telling you guys shit. Don't worry about it. So to have this dude be like, yeah, man, they'll know where you live. I was like, that's your call, buddy. If you show up, and it ain't going to just be my dad and my family. Like all the neighbors would be like, hey, you guys show up starting shit. And by the way, that's still the type of neighborhood I live in. Like, where I live, you might have a fight with your neighbors over fucking lawn maintenance and not talk to each other for 7 months. And if some dude comes in from out of town and starts beating on your door, your neighbor's going to be out there in a heartbeat like, what the fuck are you doing? Who are you? It's like, we can fuck with our own, but what are you doing? You don't do that shit, So, anyways, I found out that one of the dudes attached to the debate team, he was kind of like this dude that was supposed to be this really good debater who came from a different school and failed out for various reasons I won't get into. He was trying to pledge at this frat and they told him no. And they basically were like, if you give us information on this dude, we'll leave you pledge. So he did. That's how they were finding all this shit out about me. And so I found out about it and I was real pissed because this guy's my teammate and was kind of supposed to be my friend. Not like great friends, but friend. And so I sent an email to him and the rest of the team. And that was my mistake. And I was like, here's what this dude did. And when I see him, I'm going to beat the fuck out of him. That guy ended up dropping out. He was not going to class anyways because he had some substance issues. But he used that as an excuse to try to get his tuition back. And was like, I'm being bullied. Now, he's like years older than me. I was 20. I think he was 22, 23. But this dude went to the school and said he was being bullied and wanted his tuition back. So I ended up getting suspended from the debate team for this. So anyways, here's the point of the story. I go in and I have to talk to my coach and the department chair, both who are men that I respect. And they're like, you can't do this shit. You can't be a fucking like redneck. You can't do that. You can't threaten people. That's not how it's done. Right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. And look, I'm on the track to be like a good debater, and I'm going to be one of the better debaters in the country. And they can see it, and they're like, "You got to get your shit together, man. You can't be doing this." And I was like, "I know." I was like, "But here's the deal, man. I got you guys telling me this, and then I got my dad, and my dad's like, this dude's supposed to be your friend, and he sold you out. Beat the fuck out of him." That's my dad's advice. And by the way, he's not wrong. My dad's right. So I tell these two guys that I really look up to, I'm like, look, I understand you're saying that, but, you know, on the other hand, my dad's telling me, like, don't be a bitch. You know, this guy was supposed to be your friend, and he stabbed you in the back like that, and this isn't some light thing, like you got beat really bad. Fuck him. And I'll never forget it. The department chair, you know, this guy I really looked up to, not my coach, who I looked up to even more, but the department chair, he looks me right in the eye and he says, well, your dad doesn't have the benefit of a college education, so maybe you shouldn't be listening to him. And I fucking snapped. I was like, shut the fuck up. Who are you? Big man teaching at Clarion University? Get the fuck out of here. Like you know shit. And this guy, I mean, you could see the fury just in his eye. Like, he started fucking yelling at me. I was like, fuck you. Don't talk shit in my family. Fuck you. My fucking dad's the best man I know. Go fuck yourself. Like, I'm going to put up with that shit. And needless to say, that is not what they wanted to hear from me. So, I ended up getting in some shit for the rest of that semester. But, you know, my coach was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, yeah, fuck all that, man. He got it, though. My coach got it because he really looked up to his dad. His dad was a farmer. So it's like you start dealing with these academic types, and you're living in two worlds, you know? I told the story. I qualified for the national debate tournament. And, you know, it's a big deal. It's the NCAA tournament of fucking debate. And no, like, little state schools hardly ever make it. And Clarion University for years had been trying and trying and trying. And I made it. And the kid I looked up to when I joined the debate team, he came one round away from making it. It devastated him. 4 years of fucking work came down to one round. He had to win the round to make it, and he lost. And I was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to bust my ass for 4 years and make it. And I did. And, you know, so I go back, and my mom and dad are like, well, what was the round? What was the debate that you qualified for? You know? And I was like, oh, I think it had to do with, like, Aegis missile defense. I don't remember the details. But it was some debate jargony shit that everyone in the world, other than nerds like me, would be like, who cares? Right? So I'm explaining to my mom and dad. My dad's just, like, watching TV. And my mom's, like, looking at me, nodding her head. And so I'm like, yeah, so this is what we did. And my dad's just like, I'd have just told him to suck my fucking dick. And I was like, persuasive argument. But surprisingly, it doesn't really fly in collegiate debate. That style of argumentation. It's like, so that was that, right? You know, that's the two worlds I grew up in. You know, I grew up in that world where that's the way people are. And then I would go off to college debate that's the left of the left. And it's people, and it's not just the left of the left, it's actually brilliant people. They really are. Like, pretty much everyone at the national debate tournament I qualified for, my guess is I would have had literally bottom five. You figure 72 teams, 2 people per team. So you're looking at what? 144 people. I had to be in the bottom 5 of SAT score. I mean, the top, like, 40 to 50 debaters would have all had near perfect SAT scores, if not perfect. Just absolutely very book smart, high IQ people, you know, higher than me. I still did well. But that's the way it was, you know? And you had to learn to, like, operate in both of those worlds. I remember I was doing really good. Another coach from another team that I looked up to, I remember he, like, was just shooting the shit with me. And it was, I think I shocked him with how well I was doing. The first year I was okay for a novice, but by the second year, I think they realized, like, oh shit, this guy's going to end up pretty good. And I remember we did really well at this tournament, and I'm talking to this coach for another big team, and he was like, at this point I had the long beard, and I had the fucking long hair down to my shoulders, and I'm wearing like Hatebreed and Slayer t-shirts, just looking like a fucking hoodlum, And he's like, if you clean your stuff up, you could be one of us. And he meant it. He meant it well. And I was like, nah, no thanks. I'm not interested. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a politician either. Right? It's not my interest. Oh, I'll see if I can find a picture. Oh yeah, I had big time hair. New computer, so I don't know if I'll be able to log in. I'll see. Maybe I can show you on my phone. I don't know. I haven't logged into Facebook for so long. Let's see. This is fun, right? My goodness, I don't even know how to access like photos. There we go. All right, let's see what I can find. Here's. I went as an Amish guy for. There I am. You can see I had the longer hair. That was Halloween. I went as an Amish man. See, you could see the hair down to the shoulders there. A little fatter back then, as you can see. Well, yeah, that's me. I had the long hair. And, yeah, a little like Blues Traveler there, huh? Yeah. But you'd catch me on a drinking night. I was wearing like a Slayer shirt or something like that. No, that beard's real. I used to have quite the beard. I'd get shit-faced. We'd go out for wing night drinking. I'd take my beard down like this and put chicken bones in them, fucking string them together. Oh, yeah, the Amish people at the airport, you'll catch them here and there, yeah. Yeah, that was... Thanks, King Adam. Yeah, I was a fucking hoodlum, which is such a shame that this happened. So I'm at dinner with my parents today, and they're talking about a cousin of mine who has cancer, unfortunately, and is going through chemo. And so before she started chemo, she had this really long hair, like down to like the back of her knees, and she cut it off and was like putting pictures up on Facebook because, it's better to just have it all shaved off before you start the chemo. A lot of people look at it that way. And my mom's telling this story, and I look over at my dad, and he's like, what? I would just leave it there. I'd just leave the hair there. Let it be like cool looking as it starts to fall on the zone. Like, yeah, fuck it, And I was like, Dad, maybe I'll start telling people that I have cancer, so they'll stop making fun of my bald head. He's like, I would. I'd still make fun of you. Like, look at you little pansy. You're bald and have cancer. It's like, yeah. If I made it to Congress, I would have wore a suit. I would have. I'd have cleaned my shit up, but I don't want to do it. You know? I didn't want to, I want money. I want you all to send me a bunch of money so I don't have to have a real job. I mean, come on, of course. But honestly, I like where I live. I like these people. That's it. I don't really have aspirations to be like, oh, I want to live in a big mansion. And, it's like, no, I want to live here and I want to buy an RV and I want to travel around this country and I want to hang out with these people and my family. And that's it. That's all I want. I don't want to hobnob with politicians particularly. I didn't want to fucking go to Congress when I ran for Congress. I hate the idea of it. I don't want to be in a city. I don't want to be in D.C. But I was like, well, who else is running? You know? And then I would think, do you think that the founding fathers wanted to go? No. They were probably not that I'm comparing myself to them in any meaningful way other than that one point, which is they probably were like, I'd like to stay home and deal with my shit too. I don't particularly want to, be away from my family trying to govern. Now it's a career. Everybody wants to go to getting a career. Be there the rest of your life and make a shitload of money. It's like, no. You're fucking right. I would have been against federal income tax. Give me the cancer patient guy. Yeah, it works out. All right, let's read super chats. And then I spent an hour talking about nothing. I'm good at that. If there's anyone out there that's good talking about nothing, holler at your boy. You have to admit, I'm pretty good at it. I could just talk for hours and hours and hours about damn near nothing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if I'm totally honest. But it's something I could do. I am so sorry that... You want to know what I did to my Rumble people? I accidentally had... I had the pop-out chat open on Rumble, and it was from yesterday's show. So I'm like, oh, no one's really talking on Rumble. No shit, Rob. Because I had the wrong show pulled up. Hi, Rumbler! Sorry about that. No one donated, so I didn't miss a donation. But I didn't. I'm now just seeing your chat. I'm so sorry. AJC, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, my friend. Really appreciate it. J-Kicks. See, I can't pronounce things. Thank you, man. Awesome cat, by the way. How long, Nate? What's up, my man? $10 says, screw the hater. They don't buy a membership, subscribe, or even give the stream a thumbs up. D-Gens. Tell them. Our good friend Nico Pluto says, that was a long time ago. Relax, everyone. Yes. Back in the old days of playing neighborhood kids playing stuff together. Nico again, $10 says, Rob's always spoke from the heart. He's fair. Always admits when he's incorrect. He's never changed. Thanks, Nico. I know you've been watching for a long time, man. Thank you. Sears Sight, $5 says, good evening, Rob. Good evening to you. Really appreciate it. And then King Adam, $10 says, tax for all the great entertainment. Thank you. Sorry I was just rambling on. Sometimes I get into those modes. I don't know. I just start talking about things and then I'll end the show and be like, how the hell did I get on that? But no, I was talking to someone today and a friend of mine, and we were just talking about tribalism and shit. ChopChop, thank you so much for the $20. Really appreciate it. What's wrong with tribalism? It's natural. We shouldn't embrace, anything. Any virtue could be a vice if applied too much. Pride, right? Courage. You don't want to be courage to the point of recklessness, You don't want to be tribal to the point where it's like, I refuse to even deal with or I use violence against everyone outside of my group. Of course you don't want that. But why is it wrong for me to say I want what's best for the people in my group? Do you blame black people for wanting to stick together and advocate for their own group? I don't. I think the people that speak up in the name of the black community are grifting assholes that are making things worse for that community. But if I was black and grew up in a community where I saw the violence rates and all that shit, I damn sure would want to focus on that. I would be less interested in what's happening in robnoerr's little town over there where the glass plant went out. We just had 10 homicides last month on my street. That's my issue. And who could blame that person? Right? I wouldn't blame them at all. It's like, perfectly makes sense. That doesn't mean that our interests have to diverge, that we have to be enemies. It's just different focus. Right? Damn, thank you guys. I'll get to the super chats. That's all. There's no shamefulness in that. At all. You think I give a shit that Hispanic people want to come together and advocate for a certain thing? Or Mormons? Or Jews? I don't care. Not only do I not care, I expect it. But I'm tired of... What's wrong with that? I mean, if you really start to think about like a bunch of just random stuff in life, I know everybody will make fun of me because of the sports balls thing, right? When I grew up, I don't watch sports as much as I used to. I grew up, I was a big fan of Pittsburgh sports. Why? Well, probably because my dad was. And why was he? Probably because his dad was. But why was he? Geography. That's it. There was no more connection to me, to the city of Pittsburgh than there really is to the city of Cincinnati or the city of New York or the city of Cleveland or the city of Seattle or the city of Dallas. What's the difference? What, like I have any ownership or affinity? I don't really give a shit. I'm damn near 2 hours outside of Pittsburgh. Why does it matter? Why would I cheer for that team? Because they're from around here. So what? What's wrong with that? Does anyone think that that's something that we should frown upon? Cheer for your local team. There's no problem with that, right? None at all. In my opinion, I don't know if any of you disagree. So if I'm cheering for an athletic group, and most of us can agree, yeah, if your arbitrary reason is that's the team that's geographically closest to you, why can't I cheer for the athlete because he's white? Or because he's Christian? Why is that frowned upon? Why isn't that as good of a reason as any? I like that running back. He's a white guy. I don't see that very often. I'm going to cheer for him. Why not? What's the difference? If I said he's from my city, then I could cheer for him. But if I say he's from my race, that's somehow bad? Of course, only for white people. I still remember the conversation when you started to see more black quarterbacks in the NFL. I have to admit, you kind of get it. You're like, yeah, I get it. You know, right? Like, I was a big Steve McNair fan. Guy was tough as fucking nails, man. I just remember McNair always getting sacked and shit. I remember his fingers would all be gnarled. He'd be like, you're like, oh, that dude's coming out of the game. He'd crawl his ass back out there. Loved him. Loved Steve McNair. You know? Other black quarterback, Randall Cunningham I was young when Randall Cunningham was coming up. Michael Vick, killing defenders with his speed and dogs at home, you know. But whatever. That sport at that position, the most important position, for years have been dominated by white people. Why wouldn't it? Who could begrudge a black person for being like, there's my quarterback, Randall Cunningham. Fuck yeah. I don't have a problem with that. It's like, oh, cool. Right? But if I say, hey, wow, there's a white cornerback. You don't see that. You know? That's cool. I'll cheer for that guy. People are like, whoa, what's that about? Yeah, go fuck yourself. I like him because he's white. Yeah, I said it. How about that? Fuck you. Like who you want because of their color. I don't give a shit. And you can't even say, like, dude, the NFL, these professional sports are majoritarily not white. So you can't even say, like, dude, it's like 99% white. That's not the case. Yeah, I think Steve McNair did get murdered or something, if I'm not mistaken. I thought there was weird circumstances. Too bad. It's always so weird, the way that we play. And of course, like, I'm feigning ignorance. I know what the answer is. You can't fucking... White's bad. They're oppressors. So you can't celebrate that. Fuck you. Yes, I can. I can celebrate an athlete because they're white, or a musician or an actor because they're white. I can celebrate my ancestry. Yes, fuck you. And it was not something I was really that interested in until it was universally attacked. Right now, we have probably the biggest sexual abuse scandal in modern history in the Western world, and no one gives a shit because the victims were white and the perpetrators were not white. So we're supposed to just turn a blind eye. Fuck you. If the races were reversed, and this was white migrants to a predominantly brown country that were committing these levels of abuses against children in those countries, the world would be on fire. I don't have to sit back and pretend I do not give a shit. Oh, well, that's racist. Fuck you. I don't care. When you say racist, all I hear is don't advocate for what's best for your groups. Fuck you. You, as a whole society, push people like me to this. I was happy to try to be colorblind, but you weren't. And then I had to learn a harsh lesson. It doesn't matter if I want to see color because the rest of the world will. So then I'll see it. It's still not the group that, by the way, I advocate for the most. I still feel like, obviously my family, but like geographically, like rural Pennsylvania and rural America. And that's true of people that aren't white that are in that group. I advocate for them as well. I have more in common with that black kid that grew up in my neighborhood just like me than I do some white inner city or like liberal ivory tower dude in, you know, Martha's Vineyard or something. But I don't give a shit. I'll advocate for fucking my ancestors, my ethnicity. Fuck you. I don't care. And I don't mind if black people are like, well, we want to do that too. That's cool. No problem. I don't care if Muslims want to do that or Jewish people or Mormons or that. I expect it. Why not? That's the natural order of things. Can you take it too far? Yes. And then we will call you out and do what's appropriate. But I'm just over it. And like, we are going to read the entire grooming gang thing someday on this channel. Is tomorrow Juneteenth? Oh shit. We'll have to do a Juneteenth celebration tomorrow. I've talked to these people. I've talked to well-meaning black people that are trying to fix real problems in the black community inner city. They're appalled. They're appalled by what they see. But a lot of their suggestions for fixing the problem are things like personal accountability. And that's not really a popular message, is it? In that community. It's hard to grift money if you're the founders of BLM or Al Sharpton or whatever on that message. Nah, perpetual victimhood plays better, doesn't it? I will read it. I promise. We'll go through. We've read a lot of the complaints already. Read, but that's, while I'm on it, and then I'll read super chats. Let's really fucking dive in. Let's talk a little more about the Iran deal, right? Real quick. Now, I've said my piece on this the past 2 days. I didn't like the invasion in the first place. And I understand the mentality of once you go, you finish the job. But my opinion is, just to give you the skinny of it, I think that the terms of this deal aren't good for the United States, and there's a lot of capitulation towards Iran. I think ultimately here's what happens. Clearly, the United States could win this war totally if they wanted, if there was the political will, which there is not. No one back home, myself included, is ready to see significant boots on the ground in Iran. I don't want to see that. And that's how much of the electorate is. People are not prepared to deal with the economic consequences of dragging this out. We are in a unique situation in this country based on the way of our political system. We have major elections every 2 years, and those elections could completely hamper a sitting administration. The administration itself is elected every 4 years, Senate every 6. Now imagine that you're a monarchy or a dictatorship, and you're like, we have a 10-year plan of tariffing these countries in order to encourage economic development in our own country. You could be sure that the plan you implement on year 1 will still be in implementation on year 4 if you so choose it. That is not the case in the United States. If you implement a plan and there's any short-term negative consequence for long-term gain, you lose. It's one of the reasons that will never, unless there's radical change, that there's no incentive to pay down like the national debt. Why? You don't want to be the guy that gets there and says, guess what? We're going to have to tighten our belt for the next 2 years because we've overspent so much. People are going to be like, fuck this guy, vote for the other party. We don't want to tighten our belt. Fuck you. But look, 4 years from now, we're going to be in a much better position. The electorate's not going to see it that way. So take tariffs. If tariffs were designed to, one, end reciprocal tariffs, okay, no problem. But second, encourage business that still wants access to the U.S. market to build in the United States, that's going to take years. But if there's short-term pain, which causes voters to say, well, now consumers are paying more, they're going to vote for the other party, which is going to rescind the tariffs. So if you're the country negotiating with the United States, you're like, look, all we got to do is make it 2 years. That's it. We can do that. That was Iran's win condition, which I said from the get-go. Iran just had to hold out long enough for domestic pressure to pressure Donald Trump to change course. Now, if you didn't like the invasion, like me, maybe you're like, good, change course. To me, that was one of the reasons not to go in the first place. Because there is no will to do it in the way that you would want it to be done if you were serious. So you're going to half-ass it, which is bad. And I feel, obviously, nothing's over. Of course, the deal, there's going to be further negotiations. We'll see what happens. Look, kudos to J.D. Vance. I know my buddy Zach probably doesn't like what he's saying about Israel, but the way he's selling this juxtaposed to the JCPOA, I think is masterful. He's out there, and I'll play a clip for you, where he's like trying to, right? It's now, I think, Trump was probably convinced that he would be able to accomplish this in short order. Iran called the bluff and was like, look, we're going to hold on. And now I think what's happening is, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong about this. I think people are in Trump's ear right now, and they're like, look, here's the deal, man. You're going to get crushed in the midterms. You're going to get crushed. The longer you stay here, if you stay another month or two, you're fucked. because gas prices are going to go up even higher next month, which is going to cause more inflation. And that's it. It's all about the economy, baby. That's it. Strategic reserves around the world are emptying. It's going to be catastrophic. And Republicans are going to pay the price. They're going to get crushed. And then what's going to happen is this. When Democrats win, you're effectively a lame duck. And there's a lot of Republicans pissed at you as well. So no one's going to want to be associated with you in serious ways. And so they're going to impeach you, and they're going to muck you up, and they're going to fight you in court and fight you with legislation the entire rest of the way through your last 2 years. And that's it. And then when you're out of office, they're going to throw you in prison or attempt to throw you in prison and your family for the rest of your life. That's what's coming down the pipe. So if you say it does not matter, I think this issue is so important, finally stopping Iran for my legacy, I'm willing to lose these midterms for that goal. Fair enough. But Trump's not. Trump's going to be like, all right, well, we've accomplished some good here. We set the framework for things to be positive in the future. Let's pull back. If we do it now, gas prices come down. That's looking good for the midterms. Look, we've solved it, blah, blah, blah. People aren't really going to give a shit about this deal 2 months from now. Economy doing good. We give them some other things that they want. Looking decent in the midterms. Or at least we have a chance. And yeah, there's things to say. You see, there are positive things to speak of that you're Trump. We wiped out their leadership. 40 people in their leadership. We wiped out huge portions of their military capabilities. We've set the groundwork for investment in the region, hopefully making them more westernized. We'll see. No guarantee they follow through. If we have to go back at a later date, so be it. That's what I think happened. J.D. Vance and Trump are out there basically like, I'm just going to say it, they're like, hey, listen, now there's a question of if Lebanon's on the table. Originally they said no, and now it looks like maybe, based on what J.D. Vance is saying, Israel has to come out of Lebanon. And basically Vance was like, listen, Israel, I don't know that you should be criticizing the United States. We're basically the only game in town is your ally anymore, which is true. Right? But here's the point. On one hand, I totally agree with this. It needs to end. Because for me, I think that our system is corrupt. I think that we had open borders to try to screw over the American citizen and the H-1B problem and the massive spending problems with things like USAID and that Doge was trying to solve. And I think there are problems with the way our elections are done. And I think there's problems with our intel communities and how they're weaponized to go after people. And for me, until that corruption is solved, all elections are just temporary. And so that is the issue to me. It doesn't matter what 90% of us want the SAVE Act. We ain't getting it. And until that's dealt with, it doesn't matter what other issues that we push for. So I want Trump to have that focus back home. But I want you to do something for a moment. Ex-phobic, and any of you there. Can you blame Israel for being pissed? I don't. Let's say that we believe the worst of it. Israel convinced, it's all because Israel convinced Trump to go in. He's doing Israel's bidding. Let's say that's true for a second. Would you be happy if you're Israel? I wouldn't be. I don't think that's what happened, by the way. But I'm just saying the worst case scenario. Let's say that's what happened. Let's say it wasn't that. Let's say that it's just our interest aligned. Would you be happy if you're Israel? I wouldn't. Do they have the right to be pissed? Yes. Why not? I expect Israel to first and foremost be interested for the people of Israel. I have no hard feelings about that. I think the interest of the United States and Israel align many times, but not always. And unfortunately, for Israel, in my opinion, here's how it's got to be. I want President Trump to look for the people of the United States first and foremost. And I think these domestic issues are more important. Even if it's a sign of weakness, even if it ends up giving Iran shit, I still want the focus to be back home, which is why I didn't like the invasion in the first place or the attack in the first place. I don't begrudge if other countries are pissed off, be it Israel or Qatar or Saudi Arabia. Fine. They also should be looking out for their domestic geopolitical issues. That's how I feel about the situation. So I get that there's a lot of people that think this fucking deal sucks and that they thought that it was very important that we go in and deal with Iran. I'm no fucking Israel hater like other people, though. I'm not saying, yeah, everyone knows it, right? You've seen like the Groiper type people and others and me arguing back and forth. But my primary issue in this is going to be what's best right now for the people of the United States. And yes, you could factor in, well, is it important that we have relationships with our allies, etc.? Of course, that could be part of it. But for me, dealing with this corruption back home is paramount. And if that means that predictably by continuing this, it all but ensures that this Trump administration is over because they lose the midterms, I say change course. The best time to not go into Iran and attack would have been day one. The second best time is now. Come home. That's my feeling. And I don't begrudge people in Israel saying, fuck that. I get it. I just think the priorities of the people in this country should come first to the American administration. That's my opinion on it. That doesn't mean I'm anti-Semitic. That doesn't mean that I'm kissing the wall. That's just my opinion on this matter. Now, with any luck, the positive outcomes that Vance and company are talking about will come to fruition. But I don't know. Here's J.D. Vance, who I think has been doing an admirable job of selling this. Now, a lot of people are saying J.D. Vance is basically being thrown to the wolves as the scapegoat. I think he's doing a pretty admirable job of trying to run a fine line. My belief is Vance, if he was president, would have never wanted this conflict. I don't think that's his issue. But when you're the vice president, you're part of a team. And as part of that team, you trusted the person that you agreed to be the vice president for to implement their vision, and you're going to do your damnedest to do it within the confines. So you're selling it in the way that makes the most sense to you. You always want to be truthful and accurate. Always. So I'm not saying if I was vice president for someone, I would just lie through my teeth. I'm not saying that. But there are ways to say, okay, even if this wasn't the thing that I would have done, I could sell it based on the principles that I believe in. And I think that's what Vance is doing here.
First of all, the two big differences are...
He's talking about the differences between the Obama-Iran deal, the JCPOA, and this deal.
Not even in the substance of the deal itself, but something I said earlier are, number one, the Gulf Coast Coalition loves this deal because they think that it makes Iran weaker. They hated the Obama deal because they thought that it made Iran stronger. They know more about this, and they have more to lose than anybody, including the United States of America, so I trust their judgment. The second thing is where the deal came from. You have to remember, in 2015, Iran had built a sophisticated nuclear weapons program with a nuclear weapons stockpile. So the perspective that we came at as the United States was, you already have a really nice nuclear program. We're going to bribe you with American money in order to stop it. Our perspective and where we're coming at it is, we already destroyed your nuclear program. And so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we're willing to give you some sanctions relief and things like that. So it's a fundamentally different perspective. Now, there are all these substantive differences as well. The Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment. Ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of that stockpile of enriched material. So there are many differences. The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money. This deal gives them $0 of American money. So a lot of substantive differences, but I think the most important differences are where we're coming at it from a position of strength and the fact that our Gulf Coast partners love this deal.
Now, you could like or dislike the deal, but Vance is handling that very well. Vance went on The View. He is looking presidential. He's being given a stinker that he has to go out and explain this policy. And he's doing pretty good. Now, for people that are more in the know, maybe you already have strong feelings on this deal or whatever, you could be like, now, come on. First off, you could, on a wish and a prayer, say, well, we're hoping to, our deal's going to be that we destroy the material and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Where is that? Oh, that's the deal you're hoping to get. Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Let's see. Right? Let's see how it plays out. But for most normies that are watching that, you might be like, oh, yeah, look at that. There are differences. So that's where I'm at, you know. I still, despite Vance's, am I using this word right? Loquacious defense, I'm still in the same position that I've been, that I predicted months ago, that this would go on for some time. I said 3 months. I think it went longer than 3 months. Okay. And that finally there would be a deal that basically the United States didn't gain much, but it would be sold like crazy as the Trump team would be looking for an excuse to get out of here. Wasn't so loquacious, I guess, then. I used it incorrectly. I'm very loquacious, though. At least it had to do with the way you talk. At least I was in the realm of things. Someday, I don't know that today's the day, we need to have a talk about well, you know who. Jews. Now I'm good. Now I'm speaking the truth. I think it's perfectly reasonable to have a distrust of Israel and think there's too much policy, etc., etc. But it is clear there are good people I know that happen to be Jewish in my life and that I've met through this channel. I've had people call into my fucking show and say anyone with 1% Jewish blood should be kicked out of the country. It's fucking nuts. It's absolutely dog shit garbage. I would understand, someone who's Jewish being like, you know what? Fuck this, man. In the same way that I should look out for my people in rural Pennsylvania. Why would it be any different? It happens to be that most of the people I've met that are Jewish in my life are fucking great people. Now, I know someone's going to tell me that's part of the religion, that they're intentionally lying to you. I mean, I suppose sociopaths exist. People, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, but I guess I could be talking to someone that's fucking lying right to my face and not realize it. But I'm just saying, man. I'm able to say, hey, sorry, Israel, we need to fucking come back now and not hate every Jewish person. I know it's like puts me in the insane, fucking crazy position at this point, but that's how I feel. Some of the most patriotic people I know working for legitimate conservative causes, busting their ass on the ground, are Jewish people. I'm supposed to be like, oh, fuck this guy? No, I'm sorry. I'm willing to accept if you're like, look, that's not me. I have a problem with Israel. I think there's a overstatement of Israel controlling the United States to the extent that so many people say. But fine, if your issue's like, I don't like the government of Israel, I don't like their political, I could live with that. That's no problem. Even if I agree or disagree, no problem. But it is clear that there are people that are going fucking crazy with this. Like crazy. Nick Fuentes is on his show the other day, like, my goodness. Like talking about like Jake Shields and Dan Bilzerian. He's like, these people literally think the Jews control everything. Everything. I might as well give up. I might as well join Team Jewishness. Because it's so laughable at this point. So that's it. I don't have a lot to say, but I was thinking about it today. It fucking sucks, man. That sucks. That there's like that sort of hostility. Man, just because someone's like religiously or ethnically Jewish and they're born in the United States and fighting for policies in the United States, and they happen to say, you know what, I'm a Zionist, but I got to look at that guy with suspicion. No, fuck all that. That's an opinion that's totally reasonable. It might not be one I agree with. But I don't know. Flee for Our Lives says, I disagree, Rob. They're always Israel first. Not in my experience. Of course, some are. Yep, maybe you think Zionism's cringe. My opinion on Zionism is this. I have no problem with the nation of Israel saying we want what's best for us. To the point that their interests align with the United States, fine. But I don't care. They're just another country. You go do you. If you're detrimental to our country, then I care. And to the extent where people say, well, the Zionists were detrimental in this position or this position, I'm willing to hear them. I think that it's overstated. I think a lot of times correlation's causation, for lack of a better term. So if the United States has an interest to go into Iraq and Israel's like, yeah, cool, we're good with that too. We're told, aha, see? Israel ordered us to go in. Really? Or did our interests just align for that particular thing? I don't know. But I'm just supposed to believe, well, if the interests align, that proves Israel controlled it. Really? What makes more sense? That the wealthiest, most powerful nation in the world with way more people has more influence over the policies of Israel, or that Israel has more influence over the policies of the United States? Could it be? I bet there's people in Israel like, damn it, we're tired of the United States bossing us around and telling us what we have to do. Now they're telling us we can't be in Lebanon? Fuck you. I bet that's happening. But it's just like we take it for granted. Well, there was this clean break memo, right? Okay. Well, that showed that Israel wanted to go, like the Coleman Hughes Dave Smith debate. Coleman does a tremendous job in that. It's like, well, yeah, okay, sure. Some dudes in America said, hey, Israel, you know it'd be good for Zionism if actually there was an attack in Iraq. The leader, Sharon, was like, no, don't attack Iraq. Okay, but later they were convinced to come on. That sounds like the United States was convincing Israel, not the other way around. And then the memo suggested you replace it with a monarchy that'll be favorable to Israel. That's not what happened. It wasn't even what was attempted by the United States. Everything about that looks like the United States was making the decision under W. Bush, and they're trying to convince Israel. Yeah, you should go along with this. And at first, Israel's like, no. And then Israel's like, I guess, but we would like things to be done this way. And Bush is like, nah. And yet, history's been written by some people like, no, that was all Israel telling us to go in. Really, it couldn't just be that interest aligned on that particular thing? By the way, I didn't like the Iraq War. Fuck it. Yeah, dual citizenship, I have problems with in the government. Like, I don't have a problem with dual. I wouldn't suggest kicking everyone out of the country with dual citizenship. But I don't want you in our government if you have dual citizenship. That's it. You either rescind your citizenship, period, finally, or no thank you. You shouldn't be allowed to serve. So, I don't know. But I was talking about this with a friend today, and it's just, I don't know. But ultimately, having said all of that, I understand Israel being furious with this deal. I still think it's the right thing to do. I do. I think the United States has to come home. Sorry, and we shouldn't have went in the first place. And if that pisses, if someone's watching, like, if there was someone in Israel right now, Netanyahu was about to send me that check, and he's watching, he's like, how could you, Rob? Sorry, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You have the right to have your own interests and stuff, but I want my government to look out for me first and foremost. Sorry. Maybe sometimes our interests align. Great. When they don't, you're on your own. Yeah, send the check anyway. But it's a nuance. I mean, it doesn't sound too nuanced to me. I guess it sounds complicated. But, I mean, I don't think that my position's that unnatural. I expect Israel's government to look out for the people of Israel, and France's government to look out for the people of France, and the United Kingdom's government to look out. In fact, the problem is they're not. That's the big problem with, like, the United Kingdom and all these European countries. I expect that. Many times, particularly with countries that have values that are closely aligned with us, the interests will align. Hey, this is good for us and good for you. Let's do a trade deal. It's good for both. It's not us screwing you over. It benefits your people. It benefits our people. Great. Sometimes things won't. Hey, should Israel invade this country? Or should we invade this country? Nah, it doesn't work for us. And Israel's like, well, that's what we want. Okay, then do it. We're out. Have at it. I don't have to hate Jewish people to have that belief. I don't even have to hate the government of Israel to have that belief. Now, I understand this is a gross oversimplification, and there's people out there that are like, well, I'll give you historical examples and blah, blah, blah. Maybe. But a lot of those historical examples, when you look into it, they're very stretched and aren't the proof people were suggesting. Like the Clean Break memo or the Wesley Clark memo. It's like, all right. There's my spiel on fucking Israel and the Iran deal. Take it for what it's worth, you know? I'm definitively saying we should not have went. I said we should not have went. I'm happy that we're coming back. I don't think that it's a good deal from the perspective of the United States, but it's the best we could do, because if we did what was necessary to get a good deal, it would take months and months and months that the American people would be unwilling to accept, which would basically ensure Democratic victory, which would basically ensure Trump's a lame duck, which means the issues I think are most important, particularly like things like trying to root out corruption in our government, etc., will not be achieved. So it's time to come home. We shouldn't have went in the first place. It's time to come home. Having said that, I can understand Israel and Zionists being upset. Totally get it. I don't hate them or think they're the worst people in the world. I'm just like, sorry. That's it. And for that, I will be called an anti-Semite by a handful of people, and I will be called a Jew lover and a Zionist by a bunch more. And it's like, I don't know what to say. I don't think my position, even if you would say your position is not sophisticated and it's ham-fisted, maybe, whatever. But the bad intentions that's put on you, well, this proves that you're a Zionist. I don't know what to say. I find it to be silly on face. But it doesn't matter. People will still take it that way. So there you go. All right. Some more super chats, which I thank you for, even though I'm a filthy Zionist now. Pix Paradox, $20 says, what's the latest on Dino Gate? My insider now says the Animal Welfare Act does not have precedence, so participants are cleared. We will win for Blasterbot. All I know is I'm willing to work with investigators to go after this John Hammond character. Adam Adamant, $50 says, Rob, you actually have a knack for being a good, entertaining storyteller. Keep up the good work. Plus, this is towards your legal fees. Thank you. Yeah, if you missed it, the show last night, I did go into the details of why I'm being sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not fun, but, I didn't mention this yesterday. You sort of look at it like, I try to look at life like this. I can only control the things I can control. And sometimes things happen. Like just take an easy example. Perhaps you're in a car wreck and you get injured decently and you lose your car and, well, now you're moving forward. What can you do? Your attitude in moving forward's all you could really control. So it doesn't help to wallow. It's like, okay, move forward, do what we can. So that's sort of the approach I try to take on all the negative news I get in life. Wade Boggs, $100. Yes, psycho. Says, for the whip tribe. We are tribal with our whips here. Former chat of the month, Jim Hayes, $20 says, yapping or spitting facts. Always great content. You're the best. Thank you, Jim. You're the best. I haven't heard Jim yelling at me about Dino Gate. Psycho Carrick, what's up, man? $5 says, minorities and wokies spent so long insisting that whites had to see race that they never paused from asking if they could stop to ask if they should. Yeah. I saw a post today that was like, let's see, I may have saved this post. I thought it was interesting. I don't follow a lot of modern entertainment, culture, etc. I don't know if I saved this. No, I didn't. But someone was like, there were no black artists at Lollapalooza. There's no black artist in the top 20 or whatever, Billboard top 20 right now. And they were hypothesizing this. Black's not cool anymore. And that during BLM, there was this sort of cultural Marxist moment, this intersectional moment where it's we take all these oppressed groups and we link them together. And the group that really started to spring up was the LGBT, the trans people. And this person was hypothesizing there's now this conflation with black and gay. It's no longer cool. Black people, they're oppressed like the trans people. And you're like, okay. I don't know that that's really true, but it's an interesting thought. That there was something edgy and cool about blackness. It was rebellious. And now it's well, they're just another oppressed group that's shouting in your face, we're oppressed, we're oppressed. Like the LGBT, like Pride Month and Black History Month and feminism. And it's it's not cool then. It's not cool. And even a lot of I don't know if this is true. I'm an old man. I'm 41. But it was even younger kids now, black vernacular that would have been popular even when I was young. it's sort of going to the wayside for a lot of people that aren't black. Yeah, it's like black went woke. And it's like, well, okay. Now, I don't know that that's particularly true, but it was interesting. I was like, Isley Robert, $2 says Juneteenth is also my anniversary. No kidding. Zach Gelpy, $10. Talk about the Iran deal. Says the deal is shit. Psycher Garrick, $5 says, we want whites to be racially conscious. No, not like that. Shocked Pikachu face. And it's so dumb because this outcome was so predictable. Yeah. Well, I remember saying years ago, I saw an interview with Richard Spencer. This was like 2016. And they were like, oh, there's an uptick in people like that are like white nationalists that identify with you. What do you attribute that to? And he was like the Michael Brown shit. The Black Lives Matter shit. The more racial narratives are foisted on people, the more there's going to be people that are of the opposite race. They're like, well, fuck this. It was always the predictable outcome. If you choose to play the racial tribal game, okay. Eventually, all racial groups are going to say, we're going to play that game too. Fine. And that's not good. What happened here with Western civilization is very unique, where you had these civilizations that were the greatest ones in the history of the world, that were the most powerful and wealthiest in the world, that were basically willing to say, but that's okay. We'll open it up to people of other groups. No problem. And yeah, you're not the majority, and there's going to be slight issues, but overwhelmingly, you're here. Go for it. And that wasn't enough. They had to keep pushing till eventually people were like, you know what? No, fuck that. Now we are going to look after our interests. Zach Gelpy, $5 says, not me, I'm USA first. I'm just as American as the next guy. I believe that. Zach's probably done more politically than me. So what? He's Jewish. So what? The guy loves this country. He might also be a Zionist and say, sure, but so? So what? I could be American and be like, I hope China never goes into Taiwan. Taiwan should defend itself. Or fuck, I could be American and say, I hope China takes back Taiwan. Zach, for another 5, says, I'm also a proud Jew and Zionist. Oh, well, fuck. Jews. Now I'm good. Now I'm speaking the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. This was all a clever ruse to out Zach Gelpy. We got him. There it is. We did it. I think Zach's one of my favorite people in the space. I think what he's doing at Maine First is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. And if you haven't went to Maine First, check out their website, man. Maine is where a lot of this bullshit wokeism that you see that's infiltrating this country starts at. And he's up there in the fucking muck every day fighting school board elections, other local elections, state level elections. Because he has feelings on what he thinks Israel should be allowed, the land they should be allowed to keep, and how they should be allowed to defend themselves. I'm supposed to question his authentic work, doing more than almost everyone on the ground fighting for conservative issues? What sense does that make? Now, could it be in the future, hypothetically, that like evidence rises that Zach was carefully inserted into Maine and inserted into my channel just so Netanyahu could try to control me? I suppose. I'd say the chances of that are right around the chances of this all being a simulation and I'm laying in a bed and aliens are poking at my brain. But I guess. Where does Zach stand on Dino Gate? Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it! Abby, $10 says, I did argue with the liberal on the wars in the Middle East area. I wasn't prepared, but I asked if hypothetically we had no wars, how do we take care of the U.S.? He had no answers. Yeah, well, look, I'm someone who finds myself sort of usually a non-interventionist, and it's a serious question. I'm of the belief that we should almost never go to war, but if we do, it should be severe and fast and without hesitation. And it should be for the purposes of defending the people back here in the United States. But I'm not a pacifist. Psycher Carrick, $5 says, I just heard there hasn't been any rap or R&B in the top of the charts since USAID was defunded. I'd heard that too. Also heard allegations that rock has been suppressed. So I saw Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins saying that basically that sort of genre of rock was basically suppressed, and then rap was decided this is going to be what's pushed. And he's like, yeah, there are talented rap artists. He's not saying that. He's saying, but the people that are like have a vested interest in shaping culture, like this is the type of stuff we're pushing. And now what you're seeing is a lot of those dudes that did rap, we're not pushing that anymore. Now we're going to push like this pop stuff, and that's going to be pushed more. I don't know the truth of it, but I did see Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins say that. Zach Gelpy, $5 says, you caught me. I knew it. We did it. Bat Fricker, $10 says, Rob Shabos Goyd. This. Yeah, let's get back to Rob. Yeah, if the government's going to shove stuff down our throat, can we get like, some ZZ Top, some shit like that? No. Maybe we'll cover. I know that I titled my video about this article. I'll show you this real quick. But maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. I'll need something to talk about tomorrow. So this might be good. 15 members of Direct Action Minnesota, a Minneapolis-based direct action group with Antifa ties, indicted. Charges include conspiracy to impede or injure a federal officer, interstate stalking, interstate threat, solicitation to commit crimes of violence, and assaults on federal officers. Associates of Direct Action Minnesota. Damn. Little Ron Simmons for you there. We'll see. I'll have more to say about this tomorrow. Hopefully this is the first in a line of dominoes. Funding's coming from somewhere. Now, if we had to say the insurrection January 6th justified us making mass arrest and then seeing if they had connection to Republican politicians, turnabout's fair play, right? Are there any Democrat politicians that are connected to this organization? If so, I'm hoping the FBI subpoenaing those records right now, baby. No one's above the law. The bar for starting an investigation's very low. I saw that last night, man. Yeah. Our good friend Surian, right? He's, by the way, I'm sorry. Our good friend Vita. Always one of the, so he says, here, I'll show you. Let's read a couple more super chats. Zach Gelpy, $5 says, I can go for some sharp dress, man. Yeah, man, I miss classic rock. Classic country, classic rock. That's my jam. I do also listen to some heavier metal. Like I said, I was into Slayer and Hatebreed and stuff like that. Used to go to a lot of shows. Was into a lot of punk. Like the first concert I ever saw was the Dead Kennedys when I was like 16. So I was into that for somewhat. But I do like some, like, look, I miss like what I thought was good pop music. Like you guys throw the jokes at me. I don't care. Michael Jackson's fucking awesome. I'll get in a mood where I'll just put like a Michael Jackson mix on like Spotify. It is amazing to me how many songs he had that I'm like, damn, it's a good song. Like, I remember the first punk show I went to, the Dead Kennedys. Jello Biafra wasn't there, right? Because him and East Bay Ray, the guitar player, had restraining orders. So it was another guy, right? And we're there, and I went with my buddy who worked on a farm, and we go to see the Dead Kennedys. We're 16 years old, right? and they sing like 4 or 5 songs, and then the lead singer's like, listen, have you heard this story? This dude, whatever his name was this gay kid, and he was jumped by these fucking hicks, these farmer redneck pieces of shit that beat him near to death. Fuck those hicks! And my buddy's like wearing his flannel shirt that he was working on at the farm. We're like looking at each other like, oh fuck, maybe we ought to get the fuck out of here. We did not look like the average Dead Kennedys fans, but Vita, thank you, says, I think I found the Mullally Destiny docs. I DM'd you. I will play it here in a second. And then Psycher Carrick, $5, says, uncomfortable truth is either side acting to fix the country will look like a civil war to the other. Look at cracking down on fraud and how they respond. Yeah, the problem is, I look at it and I think I'm correct in that they've had power culturally and politically for so long that, like Ryan Mullally always says in the words of Thomas Sowell, when you've been given special treatment, equal treatment seems like a punishment, So we talked about yesterday when I was talking about bad behavior that I'm seeing online. One of the things we talked about was doxing and things of that nature. What is going on here? And so our good friend Vita, Ryan Mullally, said that Destiny had said on his stream that he basically implied a dox, but I didn't see it. So I said, I'll take Ryan's word for it, but I don't know. Here is that clip. It might help if I have sound, right?
I'm not trying to dox anybody. Not calling for anything. Not being anything like that, okay, or whatever. But are we sure that Ryan is actually a lawyer? Like, has he gone to law school and gotten his, what do you call it, legal license, his bar certification? He is listed on a law site. Okay.
First of all, I use my fucking real name on stream. So I don't understand why anyone would even bother saying what he just said. It's an idiotic thing to say. I use my fucking real name. Second of all, the thing about Destiny is that he knows I'm a lawyer. He knows I'm a lawyer because before he blacklisted me, we had multiple debates. We had multiple DMs. In our DMs, I've offered at various times, because of his legal problems, to help him find a law firm if he wanted help. He didn't take me up on it. I'm not claiming he did. But like, this is how performative this is. He knows I'm a lawyer. He knows personally I'm a lawyer. There's no chance he doesn't know that. But he's just, happy to say it. But at least he said, oh, guys, don't dox. At least he said that first. Thank God.
A few moments later.
You don't have to do, oh, look, they doxed me in his chat. I mean, it's like I said, my shit's public, but like, oh yeah. So by the way, this is how this is how carefully, when Destiny says, please don't dox, his audience is trained to immediately attempt to dox. So there you go. There's my personal information in his chat. I mean, it is what it is.
Now, to defend Destiny just in the slightest way, it would be different than like a attorney that's not using their real name. Right? That's different. It's not as bad for an attorney that is using their real name. And looking up someone's information about what law firm they work on, where they graduated, etc., for someone that's publicly using their name is not as bad as just straight up someone who's trying to keep anonymity. So I will defend Destiny in that. It's not like he said, find out where his home address is. It's not that type of bad, but it's still not good. And it doesn't matter what, at this point, here's the position Destiny's in. One of two things are true. Either he's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Well, I don't want this person doxxed, but, and what he's really saying is, I do want them doxxed. Or Destiny should damn well know that if he says that, even if he doesn't want that his audience is immediately going to be like, okay, we're going to do that. Because there are people in that audience that are unhinged. So, that's sort of one of the things I was talking about last night. So I'm glad that Vita sent that over, because I'd said I hadn't seen the clip. I was just relying on sort of Ryan discussing it. Oh, wow. Tulsi Gabbard just put out new files. Today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents exposing how Dr. Fauci provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, work with politicized elements within the community to suppress the truth on his actions and hide the virus's leak. No shit. Holy cow. Wow. It's substantial. Holy smokes. Well, I'm going to have to go through this. Damn. Tulsi will be missed, man. I always liked Tulsi, particularly in her efforts going after Fauci. Somewhere Rand Paul's like, yes! Say what you will about Rand Paul. He has been adamant that we go after Dr. Fauci. So I got some stuff to talk about in tomorrow's show. That's good. That show's going to begin, I believe, at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. tomorrow. 3 p.m. Eastern time. And all of the channels that you're watching right now will be Normal America show tomorrow. Because I have to get to bed early so I can wake up Saturday at 6 a.m. and drive somewhere. Now, it's time for me to yell at you all for a minute. How about that? Everybody likes that part of the show where grumpy old man yells at his own audience. It's very difficult. Inside me, there are two wolves fighting. And the first wolf is like, I have the most generous audience in the world. You guys are unbelievable. You let me do this for a living. I don't know what to say. It's amazing. And you'll never know how thankful I am. The other wolf is saying, what the fuck? We didn't reach the goal 2 days in a row? So I'm trying to balance those two things and not sound like too much of a greedy bastard, while also trying to say, hey, donos. Now, let me tell you something that happened to me recently that'll sum me up. I was talking to a group that was like a political group. It was like, we'll just say a politician in Pennsylvania I was talking to. And they were like, hey, would you be interested in help us with like a speech? Like some talking points for like an agenda for this office that this person's running for. I said, yeah, it was something I really believed in. I'm like, of course. Yes. And they were like, well, how much do you charge for something like that? And I was like, well, I don't know. And I offered them a figure. And then I immediately said, but to be honest, I would do it for free. To which my wife was like, yeah, don't say that part. Because then when they come back and they're like, oh, $50? It's like, you probably could have said like $2,000. But instead I was like, wow, I would do it for free, but I hope you guys will give me something. Okay, here's a sandwich, That's sort of like, it's probably not smart for me to tell you this, but even if I never get any more money, I'm still going to do this show. I am. I could do it more if I'm getting paid and I don't have to have another job. If I didn't get money, I would have to go get another job, but I'd still do the show. I did the show for years, basically not making money. So, but that is the truth. So I try, see, like people like Are We Not Men would like throttle me. He'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Shut up, shut up, shut up. So I simultaneously, tongue-in-cheek, I'm like, send me your money, which I will happily take, don't get me wrong. But I also completely understand. You guys are already so generous, and I don't want to sound like a whiny asshole. I mean, I am a whiny asshole, even without asking for the money. But anyways, a crisp high five. Take it. ChopChop gives us $27. Unbelievable. And then Sam puts us over the edge with 20. And that'll mean that we reach tonight's goal. Thank you so much. Oh, Pix Paradox, $50 says towards a whip. But we'll settle with Blaster Butt Dino Battle Invitational Theme number 1, Dino Gate. No shit. Thank you so much. And then we got Jefferson. Thank you, sir. $2 is free. The grift is not strong with this one. No. I'm not a very good grifter. And then look at our man, absolute legend, Clan Tank Gaming official, $100. Says, God bless you and your infinite political knowledge. Infinite, thank you. That's a very generous thing to say, and a generous amount of money. Thank you. I think much of my political knowledge is just intuition. I don't particularly feel... It's like this. Like, I tried to explain this to someone once. It's like, I don't really have technical experience. Why? I'm starting to get some in the political world. But one of the reasons I think I sound good to a lot of people is the political world's so fucked up that like basic just human intuition supersedes it. Like JD Vance said something today about the SAVE Act that like sounds like something I would say. He's like, look, they keep saying it's impossible to have it passed, but that's all Washington ever says. That's all Congress ever says. It's not possible. It's not possible. How do you know? You don't try it. So put it up and let's get the people on record that are like, no, so that we know who to primary. We're tired of all this secretive shit. I was explaining this today when I ran for Congress, right? I did not run a great campaign. I thought it was pretty good, but it wasn't a great campaign. If I had a campaign manager that was like a professional, they would have been furious with me because I was saying shit all the time to screw myself over. So I was running in a special election in the most conservative district in Pennsylvania. Because it was a special election, it wasn't a primary. So it's not like everyone in that district gets to vote. It was only people that were elected as conferee. Now, who do you think a conferee is? Well, it was only Republicans that were going to be voting for me. And if you were elected as a conferee, you're probably someone that's heavily involved in your local Republican chapter, your county Republicans. So these are people that are more political. So if you take an already very right-wing area, and now you're talking about the people in the Republican Party in that area, they're probably more right-wing. I think there were 212 conferees, so it's a weird circumstance. You only have to convince 212 people. So you literally could have take the time to try to talk face-to-face to each voter. You'd never be able to do that in a regular election, right? But I could talk in a month of campaigning to 212 people. That's doable. So that's what you try to do. So I tried to call everyone, and And I'm politically savvy to some ability. So when I'm dealing with these overwhelmingly right-wing people, and I call them and I say, hey, what's your most important issue? So put yourself in my shoes. I've outlined the case. It's these people that are Republicans that are elected as conferees in the most conservative district in the state. So pretend you're me. You call it up. Hey, it's Linda Smith. Hi, Linda. How you doing? I'm running for, the open seat, Tom Marino's open seat. Oh, yeah, I think I saw your name there. So I was just wondering if I could talk to you for a minute, kind of explain who I am, what my positions are. To start with, let me ask you, what's like the biggest issue you're looking at when it comes to this election? Now put yourself in my shoes, and this person says, gay marriage. Now tell me what you think the answer that this person wants to hear is. What would you think? If you heard that and you were me, and you were like, okay, what do they want to hear? Anybody have a guess what they would think that person wants to hear? They could mean, I heavily support gay marriage, right? Right, everybody gets it. They don't like gay marriage. Easy. Everybody knows it. And you know what I said to that woman? I said, look, at this point, I feel that that's not an issue that's top of my priority. I think that the push of the LGBT, particularly with our children, and a lot of what we see at the trans issue, is on the top of the agenda, both culturally and politically. But the idea of gay marriage is one that I don't know what good I could do in one term as a congressman. Basically I had 16 months as a congressperson. I was like, because the issue has been decided at the Supreme Court level, we wouldn't even be able to pass a law to outlaw gay marriage. All we could do is pass an amendment, and realistically, it's not possible. I was like, so I think what you do is you use the position to push Christian values, and you push laws that are favorable, and we go after things. I mean, this was before Roe v. Wade. I was like, we push for these sorts of victories on abortion, things like this. And we ensure policies like ending corruption to ensure that Republicans could win more and more. Then we'll eventually get to a point enough justices, because we keep getting wins, that maybe we have a chance to overturn something like that in the future. This woman was furious. Because you want to know what everyone else said? Yeah, I'll try my best to push law to outlaw gay marriage. And so I told the woman this. I said, and there were several conversations I had with people like this. I said, listen, I knew what you probably wanted to hear, but I didn't tell you that. Now, I'm going to say a lot of other things that you're going to like, and I just want to let you know the reason I'm saying those things is because I truly believe them and will truly fight for those things. And the fact that I was honest with you and told you something that I knew you didn't want to hear, I hope illustrates the point that I'm just, my job as a candidate is to be forthright with what I really believe. And your job as one of these conferees is to listen to the candidates and make the choice you think's best. That's it. I'm not here to bullshit you and say things. There were candidates. So it's weird. I would go to these events, right? There were 24 of us running for that seat. So the first event was in Potter County, which is a rural county in Pennsylvania, smaller population-wise. In Potter County, all the people there, they kept asking about term limits. They're super big into term limits. I was like, sure, yeah, I'm for term limits, absolutely. Maybe 3 terms as a congressperson, 2 terms as a senator, 2 terms as president. That's it, max, right? If you can't get done what you wanted to do, just Congress, 12 years as a senator and 6 years as a congressperson, time to hang her up, right? You had 18 years, go get a job at a restaurant. The next event I did was, I think it was Lycoming County. Lycoming County, it was split in half. So half of it was in District 15 and half of it was District 12. So the people you're talking to there, the Lycoming County Republicans, are represented by 2 Congress people. Half of them geographically in the county are represented by my district, Glenn Thompson, who is the longest serving Republican in Pennsylvania Congress. And the other half was the seat that I was running from or for. So what do you think they thought about term limits? The exact opposite. They were like, term limits bad because our man, Glenn Thompson, who we like, would be out with term limits. So I watched all these candidates in Potter County be like, oh, of course, I'm open to term limits. Just 2 days later or whatever it was, in Lycoming County being like, term limits are a bad idea. And I was like, yeah, I'm for term limits. Yes, sorry. But I don't know. You try to tell the truth, but you frame it in a way that hopefully it's understandable to the person. But you're always telling the truth. In my opinion, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, there are times when you can't tell the truth. Like if I get access to classified documents that's like of severe national security importance, and it's like, dude, you can't talk about that. And someone says like, have you seen any data that like there's an impending strike by China? I think you could forgive me for saying I haven't seen that. Because you're sort of bound to secrecy in that. Like, that's a little different, right? But other than that, but that's why I'm not a good politician. Two Wills, $10. Thank you, man. Says, great work, Rob. Thank you. And then the great Zach Gelpy, $5, says, if I was your consultant, you would have drove me to be wasted every day and go bald, tearing my hair out. Well, then we would both be bald. Yes, it's not a deal, but it is. Define deal. There is a deal for a ceasefire to continue negotiations when it comes to the removal of nuclear material. But this is a deal. A ceasefire that's formally signed is still a deal, and it still has terms. There's further negotiation that needs to happen before the full terms would be realized. But no, you're right. I'll tell you about aliens. Illegal aliens. Good night, Clan Tank. All right. Well, we're at the part of the show where I'll do the stupid whip song thing. Here we go. I owe 1, 2 whip songs, but also a Blaster Bot Chat of the Month song. We didn't do the Chat of the Month yet this month, did we? I have to do that when I get back. Got 5? How do we get 5? You people, your creative accounting. There's $200 donations. We didn't announce we're at the whip portion of the show yet. Without the whip portion, you only count the $100 donations. 2, I'm giving away a free Blasterbot song. You people, savages. And you wonder why John Hammond and company. That's fucking ChopChop. Here, wait. You just ChopChop was generously. I don't know where this guy somehow ChopChop finds these photos of me that were not supposed to be released publicly. I don't know how he does it. It's private photos. I don't know how he did it. This was not for public consumption. Jerk. Listen, I will say this. There is something appealing about a religion that like really favors wearing a hat as a bald man. As a bald man, it's appealing. I'm willing to hear any offers for specific religions. It's like, and you just wear a hat all the time. I'm like, really? Really? Tell me more. Tell me more. You know, no, right. Start playing these stupid songs. I am not Catholic. I am non-denominational still. I'm close to being a Catholic. I attend a Catholic church, but I don't consider myself Catholic. My wife is Catholic. Her entire family's Catholic. My son goes to Catholic school. I go to that church. Zach Gelpy, $5 says, it's not for you. Where's my ortho bros? Do you guys have hats? Who could sell me on their denomination having hats? That's what I need. Orthos don't have hats? Dang. The Mormons just wearing ball caps, you know? Oh, hacking week. Do they at least, you know, a group with a hoodie? I didn't say nothing was accomplished. I didn't say that. I just don't think enough was accomplished that made it worthwhile. Yeah, the Pope's hat, but look, newsflash, I don't think if I become Catholic that I have a chance of being the Pope. If there was a 50-50 chance that I get to wear that hat, all right, I'm in. But let's be honest, not a very good chance. I'm talking regular dudes. Regular dudes in the religion get to wear a hat. That's what I'm talking. Southern Baptists wear trucker hats like in the Squidbillies. Now we're talking. That I could get behind. All right. First off, let's start off. Songs to play. I only owe 2, but I will play the Blasterbot song. And then I'll play one more. So for our chat of the month, Blasterbot, here we go. It's a long one. Wait, that's the wrong song. That's the Everybody's yelling about Dino Gate. I'm accidentally playing the Gully champion song. That's not helping. Oh man. It must be this one. Let's try this one. Yes, it's this one. Oh no. Oh shit. Gully liked it. Whoops daisy.
I logged on tired, screens all dim, then Blasterbot rolled through my stream. He dropped them gifts like a summer rain, made my old chat room feel brand new said, check the bones, check the claw, check the trace. Had a T-Rex grin in a steady pace. Every big donation hit like a drum, and the whole room hollered, here he comes. He knew the names, he knew the dates. He knew what ate and who was great. From long necks tall to tiny teeth, he laid that history at our feet. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, king of the feed. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, give us the lead. Chat of the month with a heart that shines. Big donations and dinosaur facts online. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, roll that stone. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, made it home. He fed the stream and he taught us more about the old bones under the floor. He said Stegosaurus had plates for show, and some ran quick where the cold winds blow. He named them raptors, he named them brands, with a tip jar glow and a pair of hands. The chat went wild, we talked and laughed. He turned that night into a walking class. Every dino fact hit clean and true, like a bright old story we could hold on to. He knew the names, he knew the dates. He knew what ate and who was great. From long necks tall to tiny teeth, he laid that history at our feet. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, king of the feed. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, give us the lead. Chat of the month with a heart that shines. Big donations and dinosaur facts online. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, roll that stone. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, made it home. He fed the stream and he taught us more about the old bones under the floor. Some folks brag, some folks pose, some just flash and go, but he came through with the real good stuff. Big love, big facts, and enough is enough. He said, look close, you'll see the clues in the cracked old mud and the ancient bruise. Then he smiled as the final bell rang, and the whole damn chat room sang. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, king of the feed. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, give us the lead. Chat of the month with a heart that shines. Big donations and dinosaur facts online. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, roll that stone. Blasterbot, Blasterbot, made it home. He fed the stream and he taught us more about the old bones under the floor.
Yeah, all right. There we go. Now I owe 2 whip songs. All right. There's the Blasterboat song pretty good. I don't know. I think Gully's song's better. Just throwing it out there. Gully, what a champion. What a champion that we have in Gully. JestGerald, my man. What's up? Says coming close to 2 years, bro. 19 months. Wasn't that long ago you were crushing 16-hour days in medical. Feels like it was years ago. It's crazy. I was thinking about this the other day. Granny hospice score. Let me play this song, then I'll talk. Granny hospice score. Fuck.
We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says, nay, 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 we're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a hill, there's a way. There's a way. Left, right, there's a way. A clap on the back, say we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the dark Lord's war.
Yeah, Gerald, by the way, Gerald, unbelievable generosity. 50 gifted memberships. That will be 2 more whip songs. Thank you so much, Gerald. Always appreciate it, man. I hope everything's going great for you. On a side note, a serious note, I did mention that I mentioned this earlier in the week, but I had a couple days that weren't the best. You know, I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but the gentleman that I spent the majority of my time working with for 14 years is having some significant health problems, and it's probably not recoverable. So any prayers for him would be appreciated. But talking about that, like the medical situation with that company, it was one of the hardest things I had to do, and I still wonder if I did the right thing leaving that company. There will always be part of me that feels that I left him stranded, that I left him hanging. I'm still in his life. I still try to visit him. But I don't know. Sometimes I regret it. I just don't know what I could have done for my family anymore. It was getting to the point where I was working 100-hour weeks, where any given day, like I don't know how much I talked about it. The real final straw for me was this. I kept being put in a position where I thought the medical care that we could offer this individual was insufficient. And yet everyone in the medical industry that we were dealing with kept just throwing him off on us like it was a problem to leave someone else deal with. And I didn't feel that was fair to him. I felt that he deserved people that were interested in not a paycheck, but his life and doing what was right for him. And I kept being put in a position as low man on the totem pole of being thrown out there and saying, you have to go do this. You have to go move him from facility A back to the home, or from facility A to facility B. And it was hectic and it was crazy. And ultimately, the final straw was I was spending night after night after night, like sleeping in emergency room floors or on hospital chairs. And 2 things happened. One, and I have to be careful to not speak too much. The first thing that happened was I went as requested and took him out of a facility, and then there were bad consequences of that. And I was being blamed for taking him out of that facility. And that enraged me, because I protested and said, I don't think it's a good idea to come out of this facility. But I was told my opinion doesn't matter. I'm not a doctor. And I said, this is what I predict will happen. And that did happen. And when it came time to, okay, who screwed up here? I was thrown under the bus. And so then a situation occurred where we ended up back up in a facility. And it was another night where I went in my day off, and I took him to the facility, and I stayed there and was in a room, and it's tough. It's tough to talk about it, because the nature of what was going on were issues that were not just ailments, but changing the character of the person. And there was physical violence, and there was things occurring like ripping out of IVs and attacking me and attacking nurses. And it's very stressful when you're in that position, particularly when it's someone that you've known for years, that's not in their character. And so I'm just there over and over, and I'm trying to deal with this. And I told my company, I'd put in for months, that I had an aunt who I'm reasonably close with, who was having a cancer benefit, who was diagnosed with cancer. And it was basically going to be an impromptu family reunion. And I said, I need this day off. I need it off. I absolutely need this day off. The facility we're in sent me home and said we could take care of it from here. They called me the next day. They said, we need someone here. The hospital did. I don't know if I should have said hospital, but whatever. They called me. I said, okay, let me get someone, because today's this cancer benefit. It was a weekend. No one at my company would answer the phone. No one. So what am I supposed to do? I could have just put my phone on silent and went to the cancer benefit, but here's my buddy that I've worked 14 years for, and he's struggling, and no one will answer their phone at this company. So I went. And I missed the cancer benefit, and I was real pissed off, like really furious about this. Very mad. So here I am again in this stressful situation, and I'm about 14 hours in on this day, and my company calls me. And they told me that I was not getting paid, or that I may not get paid, because it wasn't our responsibility. The hospital was in charge of the care, and that doesn't mean that our staff need be there. So I was there as a volunteer. And I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. That's it. I can't do this anymore. And it's heartbreaking because a lot went into that decision. It wasn't just that. That was the final straw. But a lot went into it because at that point, if something would have happened to my client, there's not another house within like an hour of where I live. So I'd have to drive further to work every day, and I would have to take on a new position. And I'd already talked to Andrew Wilson about contracting and possibly doing some contracting work for the Crucible. And I just said, that's it. And if I would have stayed there, I don't know how much of a difference I can make. I'm very fortunate that a good friend of mine that was my coworker stayed there, and he's putting in absurd hours. So there's someone there that I still know cares for him. But it's been, you always have questions. Is the significant medical decline because of preventable things? Is it things that we could have seen sooner? Did I fuck up? Should I have been noting things and pushing doctors more, saying, here are things we're seeing? Or was it just something that was organic, that nothing could have been done? I don't know. But I know this, one of my best friends is struggling and I'm not there. And I wonder every day that I fucked that up, that I should have, I don't know. It's very hard. But it's a tough line of work. It really is. There's no money in it. I was working 100 hours a week, barely getting by. But it's really shitty, man. It just really is. And I don't know what the answer is. And I could sit here and people would be like, oh, Rob, you're a nice guy. You did what you had to do. Yeah, from your perspective. What about his perspective? That I was there half a week, every week for 14 years. And then I'm like, hey, I got a better job. See ya. At the time where he probably needed me the most. I don't know. It's shit, it's nothing to be done about it now. It's over with, as far as, I'm not going back to work there. But, and now it seems like maybe the time's going to be limited, that we have. So, I don't know. But it's a real bummy situation, and it's the type of thing that all week's been weighing on my mind ever since I got some bad news and was like, fuck. Maybe if I was there, something could have happened that was different. Though I don't think so, because I think the staff that's there now is good. I'm not going to say the name of the organization. But it's tough, Oh, there were problems for years and years and years. There really were. Dude, there's other things that go into it. Like, for example, in that line of work, you're there 24/7. That's it. And so the week's supposed to be broke up into 3 parts. So you each work a third. So you get 2/3 of the week off. That's the way it's supposed to be. Me and my buddy were the only 2 employees at that house for over 2 years. So it's already hard. You're spending half your week there. But then let's say your buddy needs off. Let's say he has a medical emergency or he has vacation. I'm there my 3.5 days, then his 3.5 days, then my 3.5 days. So it's like you're missing 11 days out of the month, like with your family. And my son's now getting in the age. It was one thing when he was 1 or 2 to go work that shit because he didn't know. Now he knows. Every time I'm going for work, he knows I'm not going to see you for 4 days. And he would be upset. And then he's starting T-ball, and I'm missing all of his games, and I'm missing all of his practices. And he's starting preschool, and he's going to have like the Christmas pageant where and I'm not going to be able to go to any of it. Because I can't leave. It's not the type of job where you could be like, I'm not showing up today. You have to be there. So it was, and it wasn't, I tried my best. I tried to say, like, is there any way that I could get a raise? Because now I have a son. It's different. I'm not trying to be greedy, but I'm putting in a lot of hours. I'm trying to do extra work. I'm trying to really care and really be motivated. Nope. Okay. And so it absolutely, from a perspective of my family, as far as financial security, as far as I get to be home with my family damn near every night now, it totally makes sense. I think I'm far less stressed. I think I'm far healthier. But from the perspective of my buddy, why does any of that matter? I'm his friend that left him when he needed me. So I don't know. It's the healthcare field, man. It's brutal. Think of all the people. If you ever had someone in a nursing home, a loved one, think of that. They're paying these people $14 an hour, and they're going to be closer to your grandma in her last few months of her life than anyone. And they're getting paid like what, $14 an hour? It's insane. It is absolutely insane to me. But so many of those, either you get shit people that do that work, or you get good people and they do it because they love the people they're working with, So that was the problem there. I couldn't there's good people that watch me here. There are good people in this audience. I couldn't ask you like, hey man, come and, work at this place. And, you're going to be here a third of the week. And in the position we're in now, you're probably going to be at a hospital every night, and it's going to be rough. Like, I wouldn't ask that of someone. They don't have the same attachment that I had of 14 good years, that culminated in that. How do you bring someone in that situation and expect them? You're going to get people that's like, what am I getting paid to do this? Yeah, dude, I'll do it until a better job opens up. Then I'm out. And that's what happened in that field. We went through person after person, supervisor after supervisor, because it's just not enough money. And it's for the work that you're asked to do, it's not enough. The only people that you get are people that can't get other jobs or people that just sort of fall in love with the work. That's it. And that's only going to be a limited amount of people. So that's what happened. I only hoped that I could do my part now as not a paid employee, but as a friend, to be as good as I can as a friend to that person. And, anything's possible through prayer and, so I'm not giving up hope. And if the worst occurs in a relative short period of time, then I intend to try to make the most of my time and hope that somehow that's meaningful to the person. So, but anyways, did that all distract you from the fact that this song wasn't a full minute, so it didn't count? Probably not. JestGerald, thanks so much, man. $20 says, I understand the difficult choices to make. The question of, did I make the right choice? Reality is you made the best choice you could with the information you had under the nature of your circumstance, but it's still heavy. I think so. I've forgiven myself. I have. I still think about it, but I have. It could have went a different way. It could have been, I was like, nah, I can't do this, Andrew. I stayed at my company. 1 month later, our company's told, okay, you can't have this person anymore. And now I'm out of a job. Now I'm looking at my wife and my son and I'm saying, well, I'm scrambling to put my name in at every fast food joint in the area to find a temporary job. That could literally be where I'm at right now if I wouldn't have jumped at the opportunity. So, and I'll forever be grateful to Andrew for giving me an opportunity. And it ended up, Andrew told me for years, he's like, dude, quit your job and stream. You'll make more money. And I was like, no way. So he's like, fine, dude, I'll pay you whatever. As long as you contract with me to help out in certain things, debate prep, things like that. I'll make sure that your bills are paid or whatever. But trust me, you won't need it. In short order, you're going to be fine. And that's exactly what happened. But, yeah, if I would have made the other decision and the worst would have happened, I don't know. How do I look my son in the face and say, sorry, dude, no Christmas this year. The job your dad had for 14 years is gone now. And when I had an opportunity to advance myself, I didn't take it. So, I tried to do the best I could. JestGerald, $20 says, you did your best, brother. No one doubts that. You gave him your all for all those years. You made a great difference in his life over a decade. Were you planning on being there forever? Sort of, yeah. Like, I have a master's degree in speech comedy. I had offers that would come up. Like, why don't you go to this school and coach, debate? And I was like, I don't know. I just didn't give a shit that much about money. And definitely before I was married, I didn't give a shit. And then once you're married, it's like, look, as long as me and the wife are happy, fine. Once you have a kid, now things start a little more money, And, now it matters being home every night. Still, that's the greatest thing about this. That basically I don't come up here and start streaming until my kid's in bed. So I get to see him go to bed every night. It's the greatest feeling in the world. Now, of course, there are times when I'm traveling for something like DebateCon or something. But, I used to spend 4 nights a week away from home. And now it's like, now my son's old enough to know I get to put him to bed every night, and make my own schedule and stream around it. So... And then JestGerald, $20 says double Mexicans at DebateCon. We will do double Mexicans. I'm in. Now I spend 5 nights a week with you guys. Yeah. All right. Enough stalling. But thank you, Gerald, and thank all of you. I owed 4. Now I owe an extra 5 because we passed 6, or an extra 1 on top of that. Because we passed 600. So that's 5. And the granny song did not count because it wasn't a minute. Yodel. That sounds fun. It doesn't sound fun. It sounds like terrible shit.
A whip, there's a way. We don't want it. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Light says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a way. There's a way. There's a way. Where there's a way. There's a way. There's a way. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. There's a way. There's a way.
I hate this shit. Good one. 4 more. Is the extravaganza dead? I don't know. I don't think so. We just got to retool it. Pop punk. Both Andrew and I have been very busy, but obviously it's not my show. I just worked on the show. But if it's up to me, it will not be dead, and I'd be happy to keep working on it. So, but it's not my call to make.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
We're having fun now. Woo, boy. 3 more. Oh, baby. Oh, no. Whew. That was close. No Disney song.
Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Land says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where's the whip? There's a way. Where there's a whip, 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 there's a way. Left, right, left, left, way. Left, right, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left. Where's the whip? There's a whip, there's a way. A crack on the back, still gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. But we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Oh, what's going on? Oh, please explain the lore of the whip songs for chat. Some people don't know what we're doing. Who? Oh my goodness. Are you just messing with me? Oh, for God's sakes. It's a fucking song. There's this song from the Lord of the Rings cartoon in the 80s where there's a whip, there's a way. Right? So I found this song and it's a very catchy song. And I played it on stream and was like, everybody should donate money. Like, we're whipping you to donate money. And then people had me do a bunch of AI versions of the song. And I got tired of playing all the songs for free. So I was like, well, if I charge money, people won't play them. And then people did play them. And now they torment me by making me play them at the end of every show. And it's miserable. That's about it. But you'd have to go to true whip song historians to get like a more in-depth reading, you know.
Where there's a whip, there's a
slaves of the dark. Lord, Lord, Lord.
Oh, yeah. Woo! Crazy. It's not a bad song, but it's too damn long. And the lyrics suck. Lyrics suck with all of them. I don't know if you knew that. This version.
There's a way. Where there's a way. There's a We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's
Last one. Mercifully. Sometimes I just stare into the void. I lose track of time. Devil's Raspberry, thanks so much. $2 says she sang this after reviewing the MOU. Mangozy, $10 over on Rumble. Thank you, man. Says a tiny bit of support. Thank you. Got to admit, I call it out when Rumble wins. Rumble's been getting their ass kicked. YouTube's been handling it, handling business. I don't know if Rumble could even make it back. It's been that much of an ass kicking. Epic theme song. Well, that sounds, yeah, whatever. I have nothing. I'm just going to stare blankly for 3 minutes or whatever it is. Assume the position.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Lash says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day. All day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the dark lords.
MT Alex over in Rumble, $5 says you still have the cough. I'm guessing it's AIDS from all the YouTube interactions. My goodness. Well, folks, it was amazing. Is anyone else going to donate, or do I get out mercifully? Mercifully get out here tonight at 1:08 p.m. a.m. 1:08 a.m. not p.m. What say you all? You've been very generous tonight, you have. But I'm open to giving you a chance if you want to donate any more. Excuse me. It's been a good day, man. It's been a real good day. I like doing the politics stuff. I do. But I have to admit to you all, after I do my show tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, when that show's over, I am putting politics in the trash can for 4 days to go on vacation. That is my plan. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be thinking about Dino Gate either. Oh, the Juiceberg thing one more time. Here. Oh, wait. That was the wrong one. Jews. Now I'm good. Now I'm speaking the truth. Oh, Pix Paradox, my man. $20 says, I know this doesn't tip the steak, but I did want the Gully Plasterbot Dino Battle song. All right. That's fair. One last time. The Gully Dino Plasterbot song. For a true champion.
Gully 46, you heard the name. Bone by bone, we built that flame. Under pressure, still came through. Packed with courage, clawed our way to tough odds, we wrecked them down. Turn that frown to a champion crown. Each teammate played their part. Big dino heart, big dino heart. When the ground shook, we stood tall. When they doubted, we fought through it all. Tail to tail, we held the line. Now the top is ours this time. Winner of the Blaster Bot Dino Battle Invitational. Gully 46, we made it. We made it. Winner of the Blaster Bot Dino Battle Invitational. We came up raw and we slayed it. We slayed it. We were outgunned, outmuscled, outpaced. Still left our mark in every race. No fossil feelings, no old regrets. Just sharpened focus, perfect bets. Steady as a stag, we stayed aligned. Clawed through chaos, never reclined. One more round, we bit back hard. Now every loss is a stepping card. When the sparks flew, we didn't fold. We kept our code, we kept it bold. Snout to snout, we faced the heat. Now the whole arena knows we're elite. Winner of the Blaster Bot Dino Battle Invitational. Gully 46, we made it. We made it. Winner of the Blaster Bot Dino Battle Invitational. We came up raw and we slayed it. We slayed it. Teamwork made the thunder roll. Every dino played a role. From the smallest to the giant roar. We learned to rise and rise some more. No extinction, no goodbye. We kept on reaching for the sky. One more push, one more cheer. Gully 46, the trophy's here. Winner of the Blaster Bot Dino Battle Invitational. Gully 46.
The folks at InGen did not write this. Gully had nothing to do with InGen. No. He's a champion. A true champion. A Disney whip song for $50? No. My goodness. If you get to $1,000, you get a free Disney one, or you can donate $150 to pick a specific song. He did it, man. That Gully 46. He did it. No one can take that away from him. Period. He played by the same rules that everyone else did. Just sour grapes from the anti-dino people. He did not cheat. Leave Gully out of it. My goodness. If you must hate someone, hate John Hammond. I've seen very little reporting on the terrible safety measures at his theme parks. Everyone's coming at me for the InGen faulty device. Gully didn't know, nor did I. Yeah, see? Just cope after cope after cope. A true champion comes in. That's what it is, man. It's like Barry Bonds all over again. Someone comes in, changes the game, crushes everyone, and now it's sour grapes from everyone else. That's what's happening. That's right, Cope Stream. All right. We're going to raid over to Cool Vic, is what we're going to do. I'm going to be back at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for the final show from my house for a week. It'll be fun. So remember, it'll be early, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. I'll be there. I don't know about you all, but I'll be there. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you all. Thank you to my friend Avarice, helped build the computer here that I'm using. Thank you to my amazing editor, Black Elk. All of my mods, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who donated tonight. Everyone who watched, liked, subbed, chatted, or even if you did none of those things and you stumbled upon this, thank you. For real, I really appreciate you guys more than you'll know. So I'm honored that you tune in night after night, that you make it possible for me to make a living doing this. So hopefully I make you proud and we keep putting out good content. So just take a moment, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family, and don't forget what those stakes are. We talked yesterday about sort of crazy stuff that's going on in the online sphere that I consider out of bounds, over litigiousness, doxing, things of that nature, calls for violence. Don't forget that so many people feel this way and that that's what the stakes are with the left. Say a prayer for Charlie and his family and all the other people that have tragically been affected recently. And for my friend, I would appreciate it as well. I will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the raid of Cool Vic. As always, have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.